excellent to each other and party on. We're back for another Legacy League, and today we're playing Esper, Murktide, Tempo. That's right, I took yesterday's Control Murktide list, and I just made it a full Tempo list. Here's what I did. First of all, I added a couple Stifles. We're now up to 4 days, 4 Wasteland. We still have 2 Thoughtseize and 2 Prismatic Ending, but basically I made the deck more blue and less splash colors. So our splash colors are white for Prismatic Ending and 4 Swords to Plowshares, best removal ever printed, and black for 2 Thoughtseize and 2 Psychic Frog, or 4 Psychic Frog. That's it. That's literally all we're splashing. But if you look, we have a Delver style mana base where it's basically all dual lands, and we have an island here. So we're doing 8 fetches, 7 fetchables, 4 wastelands. I hope that's enough. I am kind of worried that we run into situations where we don't have enough access to blue mana, but I'm going to try it because Delver has been doing this kind of mana base for years. So the island is nice because we do have a basic, but we don't have any other basics. So you might be asking, like, well, what happens if we need to cast Harbinger of the Seas and we draw a Murktide, or we draw a Psychic Frog, or we draw a Thoughtseize, or a Plow, or a Prismatic Ending? Well, the answer is we're probably going to board some of the Prismatic Endings out and some of the Thoughtseize out when we board this in, just to reduce the likelihood of it locking us off those colors. But most of the ways we win the game are blue. In fact, all of our creatures are blue. We've got 2 Brazen Borrowers. We have, of course, 4 Murktide. That's the main way we close the game and close it quickly. And, of course, we have Tamiyos who can tick up. And Brazen Borrower can bounce, for example, Magus of the Moon or Blood Moon, so that we can potentially resolve a Murktide. So that is one kind of like escape hatch that we have in a long game where we're up against like a Moon Stompy opponent. But let's talk about the theory behind this deck. So the theory is you need to close games quickly because Eldrazi is coming for you. The game, Eldrazi is not only a very explosive deck, but it's also a very inevitable deck in the sense that once they have Eye of Ugin out, every turn they're tutoring for like Devourer of Destiny, they're exiling your best permanent, they're putting a 6/6 in play. And you cannot stop any of that. Even with Stifle, there's only so many triggers you can stifle. They have tons of triggers. So we do have 3 consigned to memory in our sideboard to help with the Eldrazi menace. We also have Harbinger. But back to the format. The format is basically everybody adapting to Eldrazi. And the way that the blue-black decks have adapted is putting Reanimator packages into their deck so that they can just get a Traxa into play and then the game's functionally over, even if they're like really down on resources, and a Traxa will just reload their hand and they've got a flying lifelinker that has vigilance and can attack every turn and block every turn, and Eldrazi just can't deal with that, right? The way we're dealing with it is we're trying to get Murktides into play, which are very strong against the format because very few people are playing white. So it's hard to find exile-based removal. And a lot of people are not playing red. Obviously, the third big deck that people are playing is Painter, and that's going to be a big problem for us. So it'll be interesting to see whether we can stand up to it. We do have a couple Hydroblasts, and we do have a Null Rod to deal with it. Now let's talk about Reanimator. So Grafdigger's Cage and 3 Surgical Extractions. I switched from Containment Priest to Grafdigger's Cage just because Containment Priest costing 2 mana, I mean, the format's too fast. Like, you really need a 1-drop on turn 1 that's going to help lock out some of their main cards. Their reanimation effects are definitely the scariest thing their deck can do. We also have a single Lavinia in our board, and we have 2 Orcish Bowmasters that we can bring in control and certain combo type matchups. And then finally we have this Null Rod. This is just good against combo in general. So that's the sideboard. That's the deck. Our ideal game plan is disrupt, stick a Murktide, beat them down while we continue to disrupt. And I'm hopeful that we can stifle some incoming Wastelands, that we can stifle some Troll cyclings, that we can basically screw our greedy mana base opponents if they're playing blue-black Reanimator. It only plays 16 land. So if you can stifle a fetch or if you can stifle a Troll cycle, that is some serious damage against them. And of course, the other soft permission spell we have here, Spell Pierce. I'm hoping this finds a home frequently. So we just need to hang back until we have a big enough graveyard for Murktide, or until we can Tamiyos ultimate, or we can just lock them out with Tamiyos regenerating our best card every turn, which will probably be Plow or maybe Force. yeah, I'm hopeful that we can get there. So we played this deck yesterday, and if you haven't watched that video, you can watch it. But we had some close calls with blue-black control, and we had a very close call with Eldrazi, where I think I actually punted the game. And I'm going to try not to punt any of these games. As always, we're going to play the full 5 rounds. So I encourage you to leave a comment if you notice me making any play errors, or if you have questions about play decisions I'm making. I'll never shoot the messenger. My whole goal with this channel is to get better. And the way I get better is by thinking through my different lines, talking through them, and verifying with the audience that they are actually good lines. The other thing I'll mention is, as soon as I get to 1,000 subscribers, I can apply for the MTGO Creator Program, and then I'll be able to play a much broader array of decks. I'll basically have access to all the cards, so please consider subscribing if you haven't subscribed. All right, I'll see you in round 1. Round 1, we are up against a likely Esper player, which would be amazing if that is true. I love Esper, and it did do really well in the Showcase Challenge recently. It was not Esper, it was Jeskai Vile, but similar philosophically. Think this is a really good general purpose hand. I think I just play out the Scalding Tarn, and then I can, potentially go get a duel if I need to plow something. But we are going to need to find land number 2. This land doesn't have. This deck doesn't have a very high mana count. Our best draw is probably a Stifle here. That would be sick. Okay, that's fine. I think we just play this out and we pass. All of our fetches grab all of our duels, so we don't need to worry about any specific sequencing of fetch lands. Our opponent's fetching, probably surveil land. All right. I actually actively want to play against Reanimator, so if this is Reanimator, that's good because I want to practice against it. Even though I generally get smoked by it, historically. I'm going to get smoked by it until eventually I'm smoking it. Okay, they're fetching. Yep, definitely Reanimator vibes here. Psychic Frog. I think we just wait and we can PE this with Daze protection. There's no rush. I want to say Plow for more serious threats. Our own Psychic Frog. All right, so here's what I'm thinking. I think they can only waste one of our lands. They definitely could have a Force in their hand, which would really suck because they could rebuild. But we do have a backup if that happens. Yeah, I'm gonna fetch both of my colors. I'm gonna be fearless. If they are indeed on blue-black Reanimator and not blue-black Tempo, then yeah, the reason I'm hitting this is Troll is a card that I can't easily kill. And I will be bouncing. Okay, so they do have the Metamorphosis dude, which sucks. But we did get rid of the frog. So they can just reanimate this, and this can reanimate something else. We're going to have to hope this Daze is good and that they don't have a Wasteland here. No Wasteland. Oh, interesting. So they just put that in their graveyard just because they can reanimate and it chain reanimates, essentially. Really strong interaction. Oh, wow. Third land. That's great. I think we just stick Frog here, and we have Brainstorm if we need to dig for protection. All right. I don't think they have a Daze. Otherwise, they almost certainly would have dazed that. So, of course, they've drawn 2 cards now. But I'm hoping that they don't have the Daze. Great. I'm just going to chill. I'm not going to use any mana. I'm just going to... So, does it make sense to go ahead and push? Push wouldn't matter. If they have push, they have push. I think Wasteland is good, though. I think I'm going to do it during combat. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to go ahead and waste now. If they want to borrow, they're going to have to borrow now. Also note that I'm not wasting the tap land because I actively want them to bounce the tap land to hand. Okay, so now this burns off during the block step, I believe. Does it stay? Yeah, okay. There's the petty theft. Nothing I can do about this. I can just replay it. That's fine. I'm just going to replay it. All right, and next turn, we'll get the attack in. All right, they did have another land. I mean, they could very well have another Brazen Borrower, too. I'm going to go ahead and attack. And then if they petty theft again, I think I just let them. They're just playing it out. Okay, that doesn't matter. You can't block it. Okay, we get a card. Not pitching anything here. That's not my fight. Okay, so I can just cleanly exile this, but that does involve tapping out. I'm trying to think of what the benefit of cleanly exiling it is. They don't seem to have much going on over there. It does put the Prismatic Ending in my graveyard. I mean, if they actually daze this, it's not that big of a deal. This could be a greedy play, but I don't want them to have any permanents or anything if I can avoid it. They're down to 3 cards here. I've got my engine online. If they daze, I could even daze back, and then I could replay my land. Then I wouldn't have any permission at all. This is fine. I do want to get rid of their permanent, so I'll just daze here. If they daze a second time, that's fine with me too. Okay. Now I can replay this, and I can pass. So now we do have some mana up, but we don't have any interaction, but there's nothing they can reanimate. Like, I don't care about them reanimating the Metamorph guy. I have that covered with Plow. I just want to make sure that they don't put something really sick in the graveyard. Okay, Troll, not a big deal. It very much could become a big deal if they have a reanimation effect. Here's the Entomb. I'm not going to counter that. Once they have cards in their graveyard, you don't counter Entombs anymore. There's the Archon. It's their last card, a reanimate effect. Holy cow. Damn it. This deck is so hard to beat. All right, I'm going to have to try to find a Daze or a Force. I didn't get there. What? Okay, so I'm going to lose my Frog. I am going to be able to Plow, but what they can do is they can get... they're going to be able to get both the Fanatic and the Harbinger, which is just really powerful. I do have double Plow. Yeah, and this is where if I'd kept my days, I'm punished by the fact that I didn't keep my days, for sure. Okay, so I don't really care. I'll just Plow both of those creatures, but I am taking a chunk of damage, and it is slowing me down. But I think what I'll do is I'll put back I think I put back Tamio and I put back Borrower. Let's see. Yeah, I think it is worth deploying a Murktide next turn. Maybe do this. Yeah, because Tamio doesn't really do anything here. So I'm not going to be able to redeploy this because it's not being bounced. It's being sacrificed, unfortunately. I think the card to discard here is probably just a land. So such a beating. But again, we do have double Plow for this. Yeah, I need to get rid of this. And then I've got double Plow for this, and we have to hope that the card they drew isn't good. They're going to gain a ton of life. I'm just going to Plow here first. If they have Force Blue card, that would definitely suck. Okay, and then I'm just going to... I think it's worth going ahead and just playing out this. I'm trying to think of what could go wrong if I just play this out. I do want to get them with this. They could draw like a... Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to make it full size. They've already used one of their, potentially just one. I hope they don't have a Daze here. That would be devastating. They've used 1 Daze. Okay. All right, so we do have a Psychic Frog in our graveyard, which they can potentially reanimate. So Borrower is really good against reanimate when they're reanimating your creatures. But, I mean, how sick is that? They got like 2 creatures for 1 black mana. 2 incredibly, like 1 6-drop and 1 8-drop. Yeah, it's very powerful. All right, this is lifelink. Interesting that you chose to attack. What does this mean? I can't think of a way that this works out badly for me. Maybe they have a reanimation effect. They can use this to get back the... Yeah, I'm just gonna block. If they have a reanimation effect, they have a reanimation effect, but I have it covered. This can only get creatures from their graveyard, so it could just get a troll back. Okay, they're doing it. And you might be thinking, well, of course they had a reanimation effect. Why else would they do that? I think I do have it kind of covered here. Cycling another troll. Okay. All right, now it's worth noting that they have 4 mana, so they're getting kind of close to being able to play it out. All right, so options. 1, I can... I think what I do here is I just go ahead and start by Tamioing. They have 1 card in hand. Then I'm just going to immediately flip her and plus her, and then I'll Plow. I'll Plow first. We're going to have to Plow this, sadly. So they're gaining back a ton of life. It's worth noting that if this dies, they have yet another troll that they can bring back. We're working too hard. They can just reanimate stuff, and we are working really hard for our victories. I think we just let it hit us. No, we can't let it hit us because Tamio, man. Well, I could just wait and not flip Tamio right now. I think that's fine. Yeah, I'll flip Tamio next turn. I can create a clue and slowly pull ahead. We'll just take 4. They'll gain 4. But we are winning that race. Holy cow, they revealed another one? That sucks. That's terrible. My goodness. All right. Well, I said I wanted to face this deck, and now we're facing this deck. Yep, they've got another freaking Troll of Khazad-dûm. Okay, luckily it doesn't have haste. So we're going to take this. Wow. Yeah, all right. So we do have Brazen Borrower that we can use here. Well, actually, a second Murktide is pretty good. I think what we do, we go ahead and we attack. They have 1 card in hand. It's unlikely to be a Daze, but it certainly could. We attack. We plow this. They attack in for 6. They kill Tamio. That's not good. Oh wait, no, we'll have a giant Murktide. All right, I'm gonna go for this. Oh wait, will our Murktide be giant? It'll be a 5/5. It'll be able to survive one of them. Let's go ahead and do that. We're hitting him in the air. Okay. We got our token. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and I think I'm going to use black mana in case I find like double plow here. Any land would be good. We didn't find a land. Kind of unfortunate. I think we just borrow. We borrow this back to hand, this troll. They can go get a land. Then we have... No, we don't have anything up. I think... Yeah, we can't both borrow and get a... so I think I miscalculated. I was like, oh, well, we can just borrow and we can get... Yeah, this is pretty bad, actually. Because they can definitely hit us for 6 and gain 6. And then they're also going to gain for that. And when they get one of these in the graveyard, then suddenly that becomes an issue too. I think I just keep Brazen Borrower up for combat purposes. So that like when they attack, I mean, that does increase the likelihood that they get a land for Hardcast Force if they have Hardcast Force in their hand. But like I've kind of like boxed myself in. The other option, of course, is that I do just make a big Murktide, and when they attack in, this can keep being reanimated. I don't think there's anything that says when it dies, it just keeps coming back, basically. So, and if you kill one of these, it can reanimate and it can chain, and you can potentially get 3 cards back. This is a nightmare, this card. Why did they print this when the top deck in Legacy was already so far ahead of everybody else? Okay, so I think what I do is I just pass, and we'll see how many they're attacking us with. But I think it's very likely that if they have a Daze, we're just dead. And so I definitely think that I made a mistake in attacking here. I should have just held back. That was a big mistake. Yeah, for some reason I thought I was going to both be able to Murktide and Borrower, but I don't have that much mana. So that just to highlight the mistake and why I am playing the way I am, which probably seems very hodgepodge and haphazard. And had I just not blocked that original Metamorphosis, then we probably wouldn't be in this situation, right? All right, let's see what's attacking what. I don't want them to have information as to, Tamio. They might just attack us with everything. Let's see, that'd be 5. That'd be 9. That's not lethal. I am pretty sure they are going to attack Tamio. This gets debuffed. It's just crazy how much life they're gaining. Like just what Reanimator needed lifelink. They're all attacking me, which is good. I think we just bounce this back to hand. They can easily put that back in their graveyard. Yeah, we need to get rid of this. Let's see if this works. We're not dead even if it doesn't work, but we are in a pretty bad place. Okay, that worked. So we're just taking some damage here. They're gaining some life. Next turn, we can recur a... I think what I'll do next turn is I will Brainstorm and then I'll recur. Regrow a Plow. I'm not sure if that's good. So we can make this into a 10-10. It's still far from lethal, though, with these attackers. Animate Dead. We can't interact with that. We're going to have to Plow that next turn, and we're going to have to keep our Murk up. Yeah, we knew we were drawing Frog, but Frog doesn't help us here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and play this first. No, wait. I can't play this first. I need to make sure that this works. So they're getting even more life here. Okay, and now we're just going to do a big Murktide. And this will wall 1, 2... Oh. Sorry, I didn't realize that the enemy dead was on the trigger was on the stack. That was a mistake. I just didn't see the stack over here. Let me move it over here so I can see it. Okay. All right, so our Murktide did get bigger. So now I'm going to go blue, blue, Murktide. Even if this doesn't resolve, it is going to make our... I'll get rid of this Frog. I don't want them to... So now they have literally nothing in their graveyard that they can exile. However, it's worth noting that if one of these dies when blocking, which these are definitely going to block, they don't have lethal either way unless they can get rid of both of these. If they have like 2 Brazen Borrowers, for example. There's a Brainstorm. All right. So if they have Entomb and a reanimation effect, what they can do is they can reanimate. Then they can attack with one of these. And then I'm basically forced to block. And then they can potentially reanimate whatever it is they entombed, which could be Atraxa. And then I'd have to fight an Atraxa. Also worth noting that I did waste one time. Did I just waste one time? Yeah, I've been like really struggling to find land this game. So it's possible that my decision to go up one Wasteland and down one blue source may come back to bite me. Before I was playing 16 blue sources and now I'm just playing. It's also worth noting that I've had to exile 4 of their creatures, 5 of their creatures, I think, to get to the point. Yeah, we can see here. Look at all these creatures I've exiled. It's really tough to stop this deck. And now they have even more reanimation effects. I think they play 3 of these and 2 animate dead and 4 reanimate. So for those of you counting at home, that's 9 reanimation effects. Exile-based removal is really important now. Even if they're just like reanimating a frog or something, it's still like a nightmare having to just kill the same frog over and over. Okay, they have cantrip through their deck quite a bit. They may have set up some sort of win. They have a combo finish. I don't. I just have to win the old-fashioned, honest way. It looks like they're going to attack here. If they don't attack, I'll feel so relieved. Yeah, here they are. I'm going to kill both of them. I realize that they're both just going to come right back. Okay, they're not attacking. Oh, no. No? If they don't attack, that's so good for me. Because what I can do is, if I have the mana, I can just stifle one of their triggers. So something tells me both of these are going to be coming back. Yeah, but at least we don't take damage this turn. Yep. All right. Here are the fireworks. At least they don't have anything else. They're just bringing these 2 creatures back. So basically blocking there was totally fine. Like, they gained some life, I think, is the main reason to attack there. But like this animate dead, they probably should have held that for something else. There's nothing else. Wait. They cycled the troll. Damn it, they have a troll now. Okay, well, that is a problem. They're at 31 life, so there's nothing I can do to stop this troll. I could play out a Psychic Frog, and then I could triple block it, but that means the Metamorphosis dudes are getting through, and we're dying. Yeah, they had a troll in hand. I mean, man, troll is just like such a good card here. Let's see what we draw. Brainstorm. I need a Plow for this troll. If I find a Plow or a second Brazen Borrower, I think we'll be okay. I'm going to go ahead and... I mean, I'm definitely plussing this, so might as well do that. All right, let's go ahead and... Yeah, I'm going to have the option of... Okay. Such a bummer that we die this way. There's nothing we can do. These are debuffed, but we just can't put enough blockers into play. Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, it sucks to lose that way. I was trying to be very meticulous about like exiling all their cards. I think that initial block where I blocked, and I think that was a mistake. I don't think Prismatic Ending, their Brazen Borrower, was a mistake. I would have taken a ton of damage by now from it. Yeah, gosh, that was just a total beating. I mean, as much as it seemed like a beating, I do think that game was probably winnable. There's probably some line where I could have gotten out of it. Cards that are bad here. I think Force is what we cut. Force would not have been good in that matchup. So again, between Prismatic Endings, Plows, and Brazen Borrower, we have 8 removal spells, 6 of which can hit Troll, and the other fatties, Archon and Atraxa. The Stifles can, in theory, stop the reanimation trigger on that. It can also stop the miracle trigger. So Stifles should be pretty good here. We only have 12 minutes to win 2 games, so I'm going to play quickly. This is a keep. So I think what we do here, we just open land, pass. The scariest thing they could do is probably Thoughtseize here. And that's what they do. I think I need to do an emergency brainstorm here, and I probably do need to hide the surgical. Hopefully they don't have a daze for this. I'm going to just get an island. Getting wasted would just be even worse. They're thinking about dazing. Okay, they didn't daze. All right, so I think... do we want to daze here? We could daze and then wasteland. I don't want them to see the surgical... I'm worried that if I daze, they daze back and then they take surgical. So I'm going to definitely bury surgical either way. But I don't want them to get like a frog in the yard that they can cheaply reanimate. So I think I'm going to hide... Maybe I hide... maybe just hide frog and surgical. I kind of do want to resolve a daze on this Thoughtseize. And if they daze back, it's not the end of the world. But they will know that I have the ability to waste them next turn. Yeah, if they daze this back, it's really bad for me. Because then there's not a wasteland to target. And they could, they only play 16 lands. I really wish I had the island in play to go after whatever it is they're about to do. I don't. I'm just going to get rid of this, and I'm going to hope that this cheeses them a little bit. Next turn, I'll have island and stifle up. But I do have surgical. So usually it's a multi-turn line here. Oh, wow. This is so good. All right. I'm going to freaking stifle the heck out of that. They're going to go for a surveil land probably. All right. There is kind of a cheesy play of like surgicaling their underground sea, which I could have definitely done there. I didn't think about that until like it had already passed their upkeep. But if I had surgicaled that would have dramatically reduced their ability to do things as well. Just got to chill and hope they don't draw. Now they have tempo since I set myself back and now I missed a land drop. 16 lands, but yeah. And now they have a wasteland from my next land, which is not going to be a basic. These are not unwelcome, but I do need other stuff. So I've got 16 land and 47 cards, so slightly more than 1 in 3. I could be stranded here for a while. Best thing that could happen would be they do 2 cards to reanimate something and then I can surgical it. Yeah, in retrospect, like surgicaling their underground sea there could have been GG. Because then they would only have island and swamp in their entire deck. Oh, well, I guess they have the surveillant. But it, obviously it would have hit the underground sea that was in their hand. But that might be result-oriented thinking. Hindsight's 20/20, right? All right, so options. Murktide, I think that's what we do. Fearlessly. This could win the game or it could just be dazed, and that's it. I'm not going to sit around. We're never going to have daze protection here. They may have boarded their daze out on the draw. They didn't have a daze earlier, or at least they chose not to use it. They could also just borrow this back to hand. Okay, there's the daze. Yep, we tried. They do have the option of reanimating my Murktide, which is very costly life-wise, but it is a 3/3. I'm not likely to surgical my own card. All right. Wait, now we're in the waiting room for another land. All right, they don't have a land either. So if we get to... they can put a fatty in the yard. That sucks. There's the Atraxa. Luckily, we do have double surgical. Sadly, I don't have anything to do here. I think I just had to surgical her. Because I don't want to discard. All right, their hand is Harbinger, which does shut down a lot of what I can do. They have Archon of Cruelty. They have Metamorphosis now. They have Psychic Frog, which if resolves, and they have a backup Wasteland. So they have like a solid hand. I don't think I'm going to be able to beat this. Let's take a look at their library. Let's see. I'm not going to screenshot because it gets all wonky on Mac. We can see that they have 3 Wastelands in their list. They've got 2 animate dead. So exactly like I said, their list was likely, and they do have 3 more Dazes. So they didn't take out any. They may have taken out 1 Daze if they play. So that Harbinger could be a problem for sure. Okay, it's good. All right, and we'll pass. Yeah, I don't hold out much hope for this game, and because I've been like trying to wrap my head around this Reanimator Miracle card, Metamorphosis Fanatic. Like because of that, like I've been thinking a lot more than I want to be. But again, this is good practice because at Eternal Weekend, I'm almost certainly going to face this deck like 20 times. All right, they're just choosing not to play the Waste that I know about. Bending the Archon. They can reanimate it next turn. So I think we need to find a land here. A fetch would be ideal because we can like save it for later. I don't want Archon to resolve. It'll be devastating if it resolves. So we do need the Surgical. Their hand, again, they're going to daze it. Okay. Glad they dazed that. Okay, well, we don't have to discard. I think they probably untap Reanimate. Now that they don't likely have daze in their hand, let's go ahead and attempt a Surgical here. Did they draw another daze or a force? No. So we'll just hit that. Their hand has not dramatically changed. They do have a second reanimation effect. So we're just going to keep their graveyard empty, hopefully. We draw land. Okay, there's the Delta. I think Psychic Frogging here is correct. I'm going to go ahead and just do it, and we can just pitch everything and drive into this. Like, they don't seem to have any removal in hand. Black, blue, Frog. And I think I probably just had to put everything in on Frog. I forgot to check to see how many Fatal Pushes they put in their deck, but I assume it's like 2. They may not even have it because I haven't frogged previous games, I don't think. Maybe I did. They do have another Reanimate. They have a Frog if they draw the land. There's the Wasteland. I can't imagine them just waiting to waste me. That seems like a mistake. I am going to go ahead and waste now. Entomb. Okay, they can only entomb bad cards. I think we've gotten rid of both of their big monsters. They entomb a Metamorphosis Fanatic. I'm just going to discard Prismatic Ending. I need to grow this and do some serious damage here. I think I can discard both of these. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to do it like that. I'm going to keep these Plows, and I'm going to keep the Brazen Borrower in case of emergency. Now they're heavily incentivized not to waste me. Stifle's a great pickup. I will stifle their Wasteland if they activate it. I can also stifle a Metamorphosis Fanatic. All right. Looks like they're not going to waste me here. Murktide does end the game pretty quickly, but I think it's better to just attack with Frog. Yeah, I'll see what I get, and then I think I am going to Murktide here, and I'll just let my land get wasted. That's great. All right, I'm just playing quickly. I want to win this game, even if I'm unlikely to win the subsequent games. Boom. Boom. I'll exile my Murktide as well, just to prevent them from being able to reanimate it, and next turn they're dead. If they get Metamorphosis Fanatic going, they won't be able to because they don't have the mana. You have to have it when you draw the card. So they can make me play it out to get time, but I am going to be able to pitch Stifle and Borrower and do lethal this turn. I don't actually even need to pitch those two. I can just pitch one card. Just in case they have a Fatal Push, I am going to stifle this. Both of us are going to be pretty low on time for game 3. Okay, they conceded. All right. Wow. That was freaking Plow. What can I say? Plow and Surgical. Really good cards. Okay. So I think we just keep it the same. We might take out a couple. Do we take out Dazes? On the draw, I think it's reasonable to keep them out, to take them out. I don't know. We're so tempo heavy. I can't believe they brought in Harbinger against us. I don't think it's very good. Obviously, we can bring it in ourselves. Yeah, maybe take out a Daze. Maybe take out a Spell Pierce. Because, like, yeah, I think that's fine. All right, let's see if we can take down... I mean, it's worth noting this is not like some super accomplished Reanimator player. This is just like
somebody who's picked up the deck and is playing it. It's not like J Liddy that we played yesterday and got completely destroyed by. They 2-0'd us. I'm keeping this for sure. Force protected Daze. So I'm going to get Island into Grafdigger's Cage, and then I'll ponder for land number 2 next turn. But I do want to get Cage online here. They could have Daze and Force. I mean, that's definitely something that... Yeah, I'm going to have to... I'll pitch the Stifle. Okay, that resolves, so I don't think they're going to be able to stop this. Get our Island. And they can always bounce this back. You know, that's definitely something they can do. If they Daze this, I'll be so sad. Or if they force this. But, like, if somebody forces your Thoughtseize, you should force back. So, okay, it's in. Good. All right. So next turn, we're going to ponder for land, and then we're going to have Plow up for Frog. But I don't think they have Daze here. I think this is Frog. So Frog can still kill us. Like, it's a different axis of attack in their deck. Land. Oh, no. Yeah, so what I'll do here, I'm just going to get the land, and I'm going to play the Tamio. And we will draw through these other cards that are not the best. We do have Brainstorm next turn, but I think we have to take a hit, and then we can flip Tamio. Yeah, they're going to draw a card off of Psychic Frog. Keep in mind that, like, a significant number of 9 cards in their deck are dead. So is Entomb, basically. So 15 of their cards are dead while this Grafdigger's Cage is out. What we're doing here. Just F6ing through their turn. There's nothing I can do here. They did bin on that Traxa off of that card, which is, oh, wow. Now we're really in trouble. So I can go ahead and attack, and then I can Brainstorm. But I'm only going to be able to Plow one of them. I still think that's the play. If they jump, then I can just Brainstorm. I don't actually have a way to stop them jumping and blocking. But if they are willing to do it, I'm happy to let them dump cards into their Frog. Brainstorm here. If they have the Force, I lose it. Oh, wow. Murktide is good, but it's a next turn thing. These Plows are terrible, though. I think I'll put them back. Okay, so I do have this. Oh, they passed priority, so I guess they were just going to block, and they weren't going to actually dump cards into it. It would have just gone to combat damage, so I didn't actually need to Brainstorm there, I don't think. I think what I do here is... Now they're going to have to discard some cards to draw cards. I think it's better to just crack this clue now. I'll wait, just in case they bounce and they have like some sort of reanimation effect. But they can definitely kill Tamio if they want to. And then I deploy like the giant Murktide, and that'll hopefully hold them back for a while. And now their Brazen Borrower is overloaded because they have to both bounce Grafdigger's Cage and my Murktide. Let's take a look at this. I think it just can't enter. So it just does nothing. It is a big creature, but that's not a big deal. Okay, it can't come into play. They're discarding. They should discard a card to each of these to ensure that it draws. Okay, they're discarding more. Okay, wow, they're really trying to kill her. They got her number. All right, they dumped their entire hand, which was not a good hand. They had a basic land. All right, can we find the white mana? We desperately need white mana. Okay, so we're drawing Plow here. Unfortunately, we didn't. We're not going to get any more cards here, so I'm just going to go ahead and do this now. 1, 2, 3, 4. I actually kind of want to leave Tamio in the graveyard because if they reanimate, well, they won't be able to reanimate her. No, I'm gonna exile. What am I doing? Because I don't want to get dazed. Yeah, so I'm gonna be able to kill one of these things when it attacks. No, actually I can't. They can dump 3 into it, and that's fine. Yeah, what I needed to do is I needed to surgical something, and then I needed to get it in as a 7/7 so it could stand up to it on attack here. So I think I've lost this game. I'll wait and see if they screw it up somehow. Like if they don't realize they can attack in and kill my Murktide. I'm not missing anything, am I? There's no way I can grow this Murktide. Yeah, the play was to surgical and then make the Murktide a 7/7 so I could wall one of their frogs. But as is, it's going to just die to one of these frogs. So sad. That was a dumb punt at the end. I've played like really carefully, but I missed that. Oh, there's one thing I could do. I don't think it'll work, but I could surgical before combat. I could surgical maybe the metamorphosis, and then no, it's not going to do well if they have it in their hand. Okay, I think I'm going to surgical. I need a surgical something they likely have in their hand. They wouldn't have wait, that was a ponder. They could have metamorphosis in their hand. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pay life here. And if they have metamorphosis in their hand, like they can just discard now, but they may not realize that. Okay, they just exiled. That's fine. Yeah, and my surgical fizzles, and I look like a fool. I do look like a fool, but I had to play my out. They're like, that's weird. Why did he do that? Okay, so we're just going to block metamorphosis. It's the only one we can block here. And we need a second Murktide or a plains for a plow, and then we can start cooking. But at any point, if they draw like a Brazen Borrower or something, like they can start chaining these again. Okay, they're getting some extra damage in. Just pitching useless cards that are single 1 mana artifact has, blanked. We're at 7. What's this? Troll. Yeah, there's no point in wasting at this point. They've got 2 cards in hand. We're dead on board. We need a miracle. That's not it. All right, well, good games. I think we did screw up there. Like, we could have had a 7-drop that could have killed one of these frogs and, like, maybe completely deterred their aggression for a turn. It was only a turn cycle, and we still would have drawn a useless card, so it wouldn't have mattered. But still, that was a punt. All right, let's go to round 2. All right, some quick thoughts on the previous round while this one loads up. Had we had Fatal Push and been blue-black instead of playing white, then we wouldn't have had that 3-color problem, but we would have gotten completely destroyed game 1 and 2. I think there wouldn't have even been a game 3 if we hadn't had access to Plow. But had we fetched a Tundra instead of fetching like we did, where we got the basic island like a coward, then we would have had white up, and that game would have probably been ours pretty handily. But it was our only land, and we did have cantrips in hand, and I thought it was less likely that we draw more land. I wanted to make sure we could cast our cantrips and dig for eventual white source. We never found a fetch land that would give us the ability to get a white mana, but yeah. All right. So we're up against Leerhosen, which I think is a reference to like some sort of article of clothing. Lederhosen. All right, and they're likely on Eldrazi, so just like we wanted, we're getting plenty of playtesting against these decks. Yeah, this is a keep. Borrower's pretty terrible against Eldrazi, so that's going to be the pitch. Oh, 12 post. I like it. So if they play that 1 card, then they immediately have 4 mana and they can 1 ring immediately. Do we just want to get something out on the table? I think we do. I think I'm going to go ahead and do Island Tamio here. And then if they draw the combo, I'll force whatever they play with the mana, and then I'll get rid of the prismatic, or whatever it's called. Gosh, I can't remember. But the Nexus, Planar Nexus, that's it. So they have I. Okay, so they are likely on some sort of 12-post Eldrazi hybrid. Sowing Mycospawn. Okay. I'm not going to do anything about this. They're going to be able to get a land. It's going to be Planar Nexus, and I'll probably just hit that Nexus because this gives them 3 mana. But it's still pretty dangerous. All right, so I think we basically just are locked into doing this. I don't care about taking 3 damage, but I do need to get this off the table. Let's go ahead and attack. They did have to exile Elvish Spirit Guide there, so that was a 2 for 2, effectively. They may not even be playing Wasteland. They may just have Wasteland as a one-of if they're playing Sowing Mycospawn. All right, no land drop. I'm loving it. That is trademarked by McDonald's, and I will be cutting a tiny check to the McDonald's Corporation for saying that. Okay, here we go. Another Sowing Mycospawn. Oh, that is sickening. Yeah, this card, either this or Glaring Fleshraker, but one of them has to go. They got another Urza's Tower, which means they have a planar Nexus in their hand, and they're about to have every turn they can go get another one. Catastrophic. And I haven't been able to do anything about any of this, by the way. Like, it's just, stack things that you can't counter the triggers. Okay, so options. One, we just create a clue. We crack a clue. We can't crack a clue unless we play a land. So I think we're end step cracking the clue. We are at the point where these can start doing some serious damage, but I think it's the least of our worries. I'm just going to chill. I'll crack clues during their turn, just in case they do have another Sowing Mycospawn or something. I don't want to have my land exiled. They're coming in for 6. Again, this won't be a big deal once we have a Murktide on the table, but for now, it's scary, but we just had to, clinch. It's much more important that we crack clues and we find Wastelands than... Okay, and this can just be the planar nexus. So now they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They have enough mana to activate Ayavugan. We don't have a Stifle. I'm going to go get a Tundra here. And we're going to crack a clue. And if we can find a Wasteland, we're not in the worst place, but we're not in a good place. Okay, we drew a redundant bad card. These Force of Wills are so useless. It's not even funny. My goodness. Yeah, I think we just have to... I could have... No, that was dumb. I could have cracked Clue and I might have been able to find a Wasteland, but now I'm just dead. I'm going to go ahead and attack. I'm okay with dropping a 4 here. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and check, and if this is a Wasteland, I'm going to feel like a total fool. Okay, it wasn't a Wasteland, so I'm kind of redeemed from that punt. I will probably go ahead and plow one of these this turn. Yeah, they're going to just go find another one. There's nothing we can do about any of this. None of this stuff has been counterable. They have not cast a single spell that has been counterable other than these bodies, which don't even matter, really. Like, yes, they're a clock and stuff, but, like, come on. This is, like, what do they get? They got, what do they reveal? Just in one. Yeah, I think we can concede. Because at this point, we're going to need multiple Wastelands to beat that back. But the good news is we do have a good sideboard for this. All right. So, I suspect the Sowing Mycospawns are the only creatures in the deck. I'm seriously tempted to just cut these completely. Lavinia is potentially good in this. It stops Cosmic Command from being big. Harbinger is great. And then Consigns are great. Null Rod, probably not worth playing. Let's take a look at, I think this is the list. So, yeah, this looks Ulamog scary. Scary anime treatment. Okay, Karns, Crop Rots, Once Upon a Time, Candelabra, Fixing Bauble, the One Ring. I mean, I do want to be able to force this. I think Daze is definitely cut, even on the play. So, yeah, basically it's just a 12-post deck that has some creatures in it. Like, these creatures you can't even plow. Like, I mean, you can plow this, but it's already won the game by when you cast it. They do have a Tabernacle, which might matter. They only have one Wasteland, though. Okay, so what are they likely bringing in? They're likely bringing in... I don't think they bring in Leyline, but they probably bring in an Ensnaring Bridge. How many permanents do they have that we can hit? Just Vexing Bauble and Candelabra. These are the only permanents we can hit with Prismatic Ending. I mean, these Bowmasters are not dead against them because they can potentially punish the ring activations, but they're not great. Thoughtseize is really good. I don't think we bring in more black cards, and I don't think we bring in more white cards because we are... Let's cut these. Grafdigger's Cage doesn't stop anything, unfortunately. I think probably Daze is better than... Hitting Candelabra might be relevant. Hitting Bridge from below or Ensnaring Bridge would be relevant. We're not going to be able to hit the actual Planeswalker Karn. But Borrower is live here. I think we probably do this. Stifle, obviously good. Spell Pierce, potentially good. They do have, spells they're casting. Spell Pierce is good because it does get through Vexing Bauble. It can still be resolved. But the main thing is we need to resolve the... Oh, this is good. I like this hand a lot. I think I'm going to keep this. They're not going to have a turn 1 play, I don't think. So let's keep this, and let's just Island Tamio. And then next turn, we can Psychic Frog if we want to. But I do want Tamiyos to start generating clues because we do want to pull ahead somehow. Keeping up Spell Pierce and Consign is one option. I think that's going to be more important turn 2. They're not because we could protect Tamiyos. So I think what I'll probably do is I'll get Tamiyos out and I'll wait a turn on the Psychic Frog just to see if I can snag something with Consign or Spell Pierce. But turn 2 Sowing Micah Spawn is super scary. All right, our opponent is back after about 3 or 4 minutes of just chilling. Okay, I accidentally clicked through on my main phase, but luckily I have a second main phase, and I'm going to deploy Tamiyos. They have a Caracas in their list, I believe, so it'll be interesting if they just, Caracas here. Once. Planar Nexus. It's a good card. Your 12 Post has just had so much life breathed into it with, wow, what are they doing here? Dismember, aggressive. I'm glad they didn't do that to my frog. The next turn, things could get wild. They could play the tower and then be dead, basically. Like they'd be able to get out a 1 ring. Let's take a look. They have 3 1 rings. I have to assume they have tower. So I think I'm just going to hold up. I've got plenty of mana. I don't want to get caught unaware. Okay, so I could have done something here. So you're kind of like damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Like that could have been the turn where they 1 ranked and my frog would just be sitting there looking like a fool. Or they could have, sowing Micah Spawn or any number of different things, but they didn't do any of that stuff. Okay, so this is our chance to get frog out, and I think we do it. I'm going to go get an Underground Sea. I'm going to play a frog. And then after this, it'll be frog and Harbinger versus the world. But if I play Harbinger now, I don't have any defense for it. They could have a second Dismember. I like the idea of having a 4th land to have Harbinger and have Spell Pierce up and Consign this turn. Okay, there's Caracas. So they have access to 4 mana here. It's worth noting that normally when somebody can dismember your frog, you're supposed to protect it. But if they dismember the frog, I'm not going to dump Harbinger to protect it. Carpet. What a devastating card. And unfortunately, they can resolve it here. Oh my goodness. This basically gives them all the mana they need. Yeah, Spell Pierce is it's not good to use Spell Pierce here. They're going to basically get 3 mana of any color every turn. But I do have Prismatic Ending in the deck, so I'm going to let this resolve. Cloud Post does tap for 2. I'm not blind. Like, I know that Spell Pierce would not work. I just have to hope to stop something else that's good that's going to come out of this. Sowing Micah Spawn. Vexing Bubble's fine. Now they've got 3 mana. What are they doing here? Elvish Brigade. Okay, now they're going to search their library for a land. I'm trying to think of what they would get. But it wouldn't be a good thing. I'd much rather just... Oh. Well, I think I just pierced this. Yeah, unfortunately, like these are all going to be islands anyway for the purpose of their carpet. This is like my one window to stop them. But I will pierce here. And I'll save my Consign for later. All right. Oh, I think it's worth reducing their cards a little bit here. We Harbinger. We lock out their mana. If we play this out and we don't use it, then suddenly they have more mana. I think I'm going to go ahead and use it just in case, heaven forbid, they're able to somehow get out from underneath the Harbinger. I guess I can go ahead and attack first. I'm just going to discard 1 card. So I am going off of... I won't have Consign up this turn. But it's not going to matter if they can search their library for a land, because the land is not going to do anything. They have 5 mana still. They can still 1 ring. This is Sowing Micah Spawn. Okay, they can search for a land. It doesn't matter. They have a basic forest, maybe? A basic waste? Basic forest. Okay. It doesn't matter because they already had carpet. Okay, Boseiju doesn't do anything. They could have actually used it later. I'm not sure how smart it was to play that out. Tamiyos, Caracas doesn't do anything. We actually do have the Tamiyos combo technically. I'm going to go ahead and play it out. I'm going to draw. I'm going to do this before combat because if I can find... Oh, Murktide is pretty good. A second Harbinger is great. So Murktide can come down next turn. I think we have to hold Consign up. Actually, I think it's important to draw the Harbinger first, just in case they get out from under it. I don't want them to have any turns. So let's see. This now can no longer attack. I could just chill for a turn. If I attack with Frog, it does speed up the clock, but I don't want... Yeah, I don't want Tamiyos to die. So I'll just hide behind my Consign. They have 2 cards. Potentially, they could crack the bubble for a 3rd card. Once I have the Murktide out, like the game is pretty much locked. I don't think they can get rid of it. Okay. No plays. I like it. All right. Yeah, I'm just gonna plus here. I think I can just attack here. They're not gonna do anything to stop it. We'll kill the Sewing Microspawn, and we're gonna draw our deck, or we're just gonna win next turn. But I am gonna keep Consign up. I'm not gonna play out the Harbinger yet. So if they can get rid of this Harbinger somehow, they will have a short window where they can do stuff. Tabernacle is just an island, thankfully. Yeah, the One Ring is the one thing I need to stop here. All right. I don't think there's any reason I'll attack. I definitely should get in the habit of plussing after I attack. Consign if they have like any Kolaghan's command type stuff. They can't actually cast that. So we're just drawing a card here. This is an easy card to discard. Are they dead on board? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I don't see any reason to give them mana. I will go ahead and play this out just to ensure they're dead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Like, there's no reason to do that actually, because next turn I just have Tamiyos Ultimate and Psychic Frog will kill them. But like, let's say I'm trying to think of a situation where playing that out was correct. I don't think it was correct to play that out. All right. So on the draw, Dazes are coming out completely. I think these could come in. It's worth noting that they're likely... Do we see any artifacts that they can activate? Okay, Null Rod does stop the artifact, but it's very passive. They have to get 1 ring, and then they also have access to, I think, 2, whatever it's called, the land that can cycle Boseiju, who shelters all. So if they Boseiju, then they can kill my Null Rod. So I don't think Null Rod's really going to cut the mustard here. I think Bowmasters is better just because it does apply pressure, and with Tamiyos and stuff, it can be good. All right, let's do that. But I think you can see why Daze is terrible here, because they've got Vexing Bubble, they've got like copious amounts of mana. This is a Force Consign Prismatic Ending hand. It does have turn 1 Tamiyos. I think we keep this. They only have 1 Wasteland in their entire deck. I don't think I'm going to live in fear of it. Let me know if you think that this is a greedy keep, because I don't have a path to a second land, but I am on the draw. I've got 18 lands left in my deck. Stifle is pretty good. It might be useful here. I'm trying to think. Is it better to Tamiyos or is it better to hold up Stifle and Consign? My intuition is I should hold these up. Okay, 4 mana. Karn. I think I forced Karn. My reasoning is that later I'll have plenty of ways. Consign is, actually slightly better than... Yeah, I think I probably pitch the Stifle. I'm going to pitch the Frog. Because even if I draw a land, I'm not going to be using Frog immediately. I'd much rather play out Tamiyos and still have... okay, that is a land, and that's a pretty good land. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to waste here. This should cut them off a significant amount of mana, unless they have a second one, and I am going to go ahead and play out Tamiyos now. So they would have to have Planar Nexus and another 4-drop for me to be punished here. Or they could have some combination of Elvish Spirit Guides, and but this is just a taps for 1 mana thing. And they do have a Cloud Post, which is mismatched, so they have 2 mana now. Psychic Frog, not the best draw. I'm just going to keep these cards up, and I'll pass. If they do manage to get a Sewing Microspawn on the stack, I will just counter the search trigger. Okay, this gives them extra mana, so now they have 4 mana. All right, can we draw a land? We're not drawing a land. That's fine. I made my bed and I'm sleeping in it. But they are almost certainly going to have land here. Yeah, this could be something like a spawn here. I just have to kick the... do I stifle? I think I stifle the search trigger. Because this is definitely going to go get a wasteland. So they have a 3/3 that obviously outclasses anything on my board. So if I get a land... I do have Murktide. I just need a fetch land, and then we've got a 5/5 Murktide that outclasses that. All right. Once upon a time, I can't stop that. All right, they did find a planar nexus, which is bad news bears. Can we get a land? No. All right. Again, I'm not complaining about variance. I totally decided to keep a one lander without cantrips. So we're going to take 3. They're going to take closer up to Video Game Armageddon. Crop Rot. This is probably going to get a wasteland. I do need to force this. I'll pitch a Brazen Borrower. I probably should have pitched the Frog just in case of an emergency. Brazen Borrower can stop like things like Ring. All right. If we draw land, we're still kind of in this. It's not going to be pretty. Ponder is going to find us a land, most likely. All right, double land. This is good. I'll take the Underground Sea now. Stifle is the least important card here. I need land. So if for some reason they counter or they waste this, that's going to suck. But basically, we just have to. They've got all the mana they need. They've got 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They've got 8 mana now. Now they've got like 12 mana. They can just cast Emrakul from hand, or if they find an Eye of Ugin, that's also catastrophic. All right. Yeah, I think we just play the Murktide here. Blue. They do have enough mana to 1, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't matter. All right, so this is a 7/7. Are we racing them? No. They can't attack us, so we do get the first crack, and then we can race them from there. Okay, so they've got tons of mana. They're all dressed up with nowhere to go. Okay, they can exile our Murktide here. So the question is, do we stop the trigger to save our Murktide? It can hit lands too? Oh, damn, I forgot it could hit lands. That sucks. I think we have to kill the creature because we did take out our plows. And I basically just took out plows assuming that if this situation arose, then we were dead anyway. So I'm going to get a Underground Sea here. They're going after our Underground Sea, right? Yeah, I'm going to get a replacement Underground Sea. Okay, and then I'm just going to consign. I can't replicate, which is a bummer. Yeah, they are going to exile our land and our creature, but there's no way we can kill that if it resolves. So we're dropping to 5 here. So we can play Psychic Frog here. Another Prismatic Ending. Terrible card, unfortunately, in this specific situation. Not a bad card overall, but it will pitch to Force, or pitch to Frog. So if they're able to just play some other crazy Eldrazi, we're dead. They're adding 3 mana in step. They're filtering it. They're going to Crop Rot, and they're going to go get a... Oh, Dismember. Yeah, and unfortunately, I can't protect it. I don't have enough cards to pitch. Okay, yeah. So they're hellbent. They didn't pay any life to do that. They're going to hit us to 2. We do have Orcish Bowmasters if they don't disrupt us any, and that can essentially like ping trade, which is terrible. But that is like, that's the life we're living here. The Mana Screw life. Vexing Bauble doesn't matter. They can crack it to draw. That's what they're doing. I mean, there's so many live draws in their deck. Murktide won't help us here. We really need, land. I mean, that's what we need. I'm just going to play it out. And then what I'll do is when they attack, I will play the Bowmaster, ping, and double block it to trade. The worst, trade ever. But, yeah. And they also got the Stifle at the beginning. We are taking the pressure off the table, assuming they don't have another, card that kills one of our blockers. All right. See if they just have another one in hand. They have something. Yep, they just have another one. Oh, they're casting an Elvish Spirit Guide. Well, actually, We can kill that with Prismatic Ending. Yay! I think sadly we actually have to kill this first because I don't want to trade my Harbinger. If they draw dead for a turn, we have a prayer, a very faint prayer. All right, draw dead, draw dead. That would be such a miracle if we could somehow claw back into this. I have no hope. A Caracas? That's it. That counts as a dead draw. What could they possibly have in their hand other than just more lands? They did draw maybe two land in a turn when they could have a Dismember. Unfortunately, I'm just gonna have to put this out here without Dismember protection. I'm not gonna wait another turn. I think it's more likely that they don't have an answer than that they have Dismember. But even here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So they do have 8 mana. They're not going to get to Emrakul this way. I'll feel so much better if I draw a blue card. Let's go. Oh, the beatings commence. They can't do anything. I don't think there's anything they can do with their current mana base. They don't like if they do a basic, that would be good. They haven't cycled away their basic or anything. Wow, this is such an epic sequence of events. I do play this out because it gets me closer to hardcast. Hardcast means I don't have to pay a life, so I can potentially force a second piece of interaction. I mean, how much does Emrakul cost? We already survived Ulamog, so they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So they're not going to get to Emrakul. I don't need to worry about that. There's a hardcast force. All right. 6 more turns. I can't believe how I've been able to stay in this game. Like, we've just been incredibly lucky. Okay, Elvish Spirit Guide. Sowing Mycospawn. Oh, man, is this how we die? They can get a basic land. I think we let that resolve, and then we force the actual body. They're going to get a basic forest, I think. So that does turn on some of their cards. But we have to force the body. Let's go ahead and see what they get first. Okay, there's the basic force that we thought that we get. All right. 6 more turns. Now Soaking Mycospawn is a very live draw. However, we have a giant Murktide, which is quite... I'm going to make this full size. 1, 2, 3, 5. It doesn't really matter. Actually, it does matter. Okay, so it's a 6/6. So still a 2-turn clock, but we have Stifle up in case they get the 1 ring, and then we can just stifle the 1 ring. Holy cow, are we going to win this? Let's not celebrate yet. Stifle gives me like a lot of confidence, though. That was an incredible game. Yeah, but Seiju, it doesn't do anything here. Elvish Spirit Guide doesn't matter. That's fine. Swing right over it. Yeah. Insane games. My goodness. Insane games. I hope you enjoyed that. Like, there were so many parts where I was like, oh, we're dead. It's over. Like, I wrote this game off like 20 minutes ago. Yeah. Wow. That was a great match and a great showing for just the power of, even in our deck that, like, I mean, we have lots of cards that we can't cast with her out. We had to wait a turn to be able to get our, because we didn't have a basic swamp, we wouldn't be able to fetch swamp and then play her out, but she still was a freaking amazing card in that matchup. These have been some grindy ones. My goodness. Stay tuned for round 3. All right. We're back for round 3 against Adorno 666, the devil himself, likely playing Doomsday. I think that we just opened Thoughtseize. That's pretty solid. We have Waste, we have Stifle. Prismatic Ending is pretty terrible in this matchup. They do have, so this is not Turbo Doomsday, this is creature-based Doomsday. The Borrower, in case they have a Frog, they're probably going to have to kind of turbo out a Frog. I like this. I'm going to keep this. Wasting them is not nothing. All right, so I'll just open Thoughtseize, and then we'll, if we see that they're on like some Wasteland strategy, we'll be very sad. They have been playing a lot of Doomsday lately, specifically the tempo of Doomsday. Okay, so here we go. They have tons of land. I don't think Doomsday is going to do anything here. The force does stop. Look at that medium hand, they said. I think we take the Waste, or we take the Brainstorm. They could definitely naturally draw into stuff, but yeah, there's no reason to waste them when they have Edge. I'm not going to take the I mean, stifling one of their lands and then wasting another one, not the worst, but with edge in their hand, it does make it pretty unexciting of a proposition. All right. Okay, that's good. So I think what I do here is I'm just going to play out the second land and I'll hide the fact that I have a wasteland. If they somehow get a frog out, then I can borrow it. I do think I'm going to stifle this just because I've got nothing else going on. Just to slow them down a little bit. We could navigate it into a situation where... So the edge, it's not like they drew a card. It's like they just cycled it for free. So it's not like they like 2-for-1 you off you wasting them. All you're doing is turning on the ability of the cycle. You could definitely argue that I should have held that for later, but I've got nothing going on. In fact, I'm probably going to flash in this borrower and stuff, as weak as that is. Murktide would be great if I could eventually get to it. This is fine. Edge of Autumn. So the way this works is basically you just sacrifice a land and you can cycle it. Okay, they're fetching. It's fine. But basically, when they have Edge of Autumn, it heavily disincentivizes you from wasting them. But, I mean, we could get into a situation where it is worth wasting them. Okay, so they're probably going to put Doomsday on top. So, let's see. They used Catacombs. They used Delta. I don't know if they actually... Yeah, they did play the Underground Sea from hand. So, it's possible that wasting them does cut them off valuable off the ability to Doomsday. I'm going to let this resolve. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to play my borrower and then I'm going to double waste them. And the first one they're going to be able to cycle, but if they don't find a mana source, they're not going to be able to Doomsday. And it's totally possible that this gets dazed. Right. Tarn doesn't do anything for us. I am going to go ahead and attack here. And then, yeah, I'm just going to double waste. I know that they can edge, but they won't be able to edge later to crack into their pile. Okay, well, I assume they're going to edge now. Oh, wow, they didn't edge. Interesting. They must have a way to crack into their pile immediately, which is super scary. So I think we're dead. So they're going to be able to Dark Ritual Doomsday this turn, and then they can edge to get into their pile, and I think they can win. They're the turbo build this time. And we know that because they're playing Personal Tutor. They're likely not playing any frogs at all. Yep. So they should be able to construct a pile that just wins here. They don't know what's in my hand, but I have nothing in my hand. If I had held Stifle and not gone after the mana, I could have potentially fought over the Thassa, but I never drew a removal spell or a counter spell anyway. So it didn't really matter. This Prismatic Ending was dead. This was a redundant land. We never got a chance to cast Murktide, and we're never going to get a chance, unfortunately. Unless they create a pass the turn twice pile, which is extremely unlikely. Because I assume that they can edge into, some sort of mana source, like a Brainstorm or an LED or something like that, and then they can just win. But let's take a look at their list here. Because I am going to be playing Doomsday on the channel. I'm just trying to get some Barragoyfs. They're like $50 each on MTGO, which are like $40 each. I don't want to spend that much money on Spoils of the Vault. Spicy. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's just do a quick force count. We know they have one force in their hand. 1, 2. Okay, they have 2 forces in their hand, most likely. Unless I'm like missing something. They do play Flusterstorm, worth noting. Let's count the Dazes. So 1, 2 Dazes. Vexing Bauble. 1, 2 Vexing Baubles. There could be a Vexing Bauble in their pile. They didn't put Street Wraith in. So I'm not actually sure. I think they may have to pass the turn. They'll have to pass it at least once. Okay, and it looks like they are passing here. They've got 7 life. So Murktide isn't worth playing because if they force... Let's see, well, Spell Pierce be good. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and attack here. I am going to... play with this Murktide just to ensure that they're dead next turn if Spell Pierce somehow stops them from being able to go off. I don't think it will. I think they have Force Blue card. I'm not going to show them that I have white. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, this is a very sclerotic play. It tells them I probably don't have force in my hand, but I don't. In the unlikely instance that they pass the turn back to me, I need to be able to kill them. I don't want to just hit them down to 1. I want to kill them. They can't Well, yeah, they can fetch. Okay, they're fetching. So anything they do, like a brainstorm, anything, I'm going to attempt to pierce. They have 3 cards. Okay, there's the Edge of Autumn. So if they just have it, they're bold because I do have, I'm representing Fatal Push. They could just have 2. They just conceded. Holy cow. Maybe they thought I had Fatal Push. I'm not sure. Maybe they misstacked their pile. I'm going to have to ask what happened. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and tell them that. I'm recording. If you don't mind telling me what happened, super interested to know. And I will, and that was so bad. I can't, Okay, well, we'll leave them to that. Let's take a look at their sideboard. Oh, this isn't the deck they're playing. Let's see. Maybe they played Turbo Doomsday recently. We can see kind of what their turbo configuration is. No, they've just been playing Tempo, which I think is probably the better mode. Michael Reed, aka Eureka22422. I'm one of his Patreons now. He published like a really in-depth sideboard guide, and he published a video of him just destroying Reanimator. And that's what I want. I want that dark power to just farm Reanimator like he did. He just went through and like crushed 4 Reanimator decks. And of course, I think it was like maybe he was, yeah, I can't remember, but I think he beat like Eldrazi as well. Yeah. I don't think they're playing green, so Prismatic Ending's pretty bad because they're not going to have carpets. Borrower is terrible. He did kind of win us the game. I think we take out these plows. All right, what do we bring in? Lavinia is great. Bowmaster's potentially good. Consigns do stop the trigger, and they're better than, like, certainly better than nothing. They stop the wind trigger. Grafdigger's Cage doesn't matter generally unless they're doing the like Unearth plan. Sometimes they do that. Null Rod, probably worth putting in a Null Rod, just as like a narrow land hate card. What do we cut? I think we could cut a Borrower. They probably don't have very much good stuff to bounce. They could have One Ring, but I've kind of got that covered with Orcish Bowmasters. Yeah, I'm just going to submit like this. I'll tell him you would have had the win. Yeah, so that was not us winning. That was them. Defeating themselves. All right, so Doomsday is a very difficult deck to pilot. Arguably the most difficult. I mean, you could say Epic Storm is harder. This is a snap keep. I like Frog. Borrower probably. Yeah, I'm going to keep this. We're on the draw. They're probably going to be cracking their... They probably presume that we're on blue-black tempo, which is not far from the truth. Yeah, this is a reason to keep the Prismatic Endings in, isn't it? Yeah, that was kind of dumb for me to not keep those in. I can force and stifle the Vexing Bauble trigger if absolutely necessary, but I definitely don't want to do that unless I have to. I'm just going to play this out, and I'll pass. I don't expect any sort of Wastelands or anything from them. Double Stifle against the Thassa's Oracle deck. Strong place to be. Yeah, I'm just going to hit this. They might daze it. And you might be thinking, well, why not hold your Stifle until they try to win? You don't want to let them get into that situation where they can like potentially outweight you. They're cracking the bubble. That's good. They're just looking desperately for a daze. Saying, well, you're forcing, I'm forcing, as I like to say. They clearly need that mana, and I don't need this Brazen Borrower. All right. If they had daze, they would have used it there, so I think our Frog can fly free. Actually, I think we waste. All right. And next turn, we will have the Frog. But for now, they don't have cantrip access or anything like that. If it's a fetch, I can stop that. If it's a Lotus Petal, yeah, that's fine. So I am going to be able to Frog. They've been Personal Tutor, which tells me they probably have a Doomsday already in hand. Bowmasters is better because we can hold up Stifle here. Yeah, I'm gonna keep Bowmaster because I would love to stifle them here. Now they see that we have white, and I am going to be bringing Prismatic Ending in for game 3 because I just boneheadedly forgot. I'm going to go ahead and try to get some pings here. Their life total is a pretty important resource. Okay, Daze is fine. They are going to get to replay their ETB tap land if they'd like. If they have a fetch, I'll attempt to stifle it, but they'll probably be smart enough to fetch that away. All right. Another bobble. Nothing I can do about that. This does give them a way to crack into their pile, which is pretty powerful. Like, so with Doomsday, you get to set up the pile, but then you have to actually get into the pile somehow. I'm going to play this out. It could be that we do have to ride the Stifle to victory if they Doomsday here. And it's like a very kind of cowardly way of winning because, I mean, like last game they had 2 Force of Wills plus blue cards. Yeah, I think we have gotten some equity, but I think stifling at this point is probably not what we want to be doing. So I think I am going to just let them Doomsday. And I'm going to be pitching as many cards as I can to this frog. I'm not going to pitch that Daze, but I will pitch this. I'll attack for just 2. Would love to draw some more interaction, like a Force of Will. Actually, Force of Will is not good. Murktide. Actually, if we play Murktide here, let's see. So this is 2, 3, 4, 5. So this would be a 5/5 plus 7. Yeah, this is lethal pressure. But it does cut us off being able to Daze. I think we do it though. And it's not immediately lethal pressure, but if they Doomsday, it will become lethal pressure. So they can no longer do a pass the turn pile, effectively, is what I've done. That's fine. They're going to go even lower in life. Probably just looking for mana to attempt to cast Doomsday. But if they cast, okay, they're drawing a card. That's great. That turns Daze back on. Yeah, I think we're very favored in this matchup, by the way. We like having Stifle and Daze and all this stuff. I'm going to Daze this because it uses up mana, and also like Stifle, they don't know what I have, and it's got to be terrifying for them. Because like they're thinking, okay, they have something they're protecting there. Oh, that's just so good. Yeah, I think we do play out the land so we can Lavinia and Stifle here. I'm gonna go ahead and attack first. We're not gonna be able to kill them either way. We are gonna get a card draw here. Force would be great. Tama is not bad, but we're not going to cast her. She's just going to chill in our hand. Yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna play out Lavinia. White, blue, Lavinia. This should be like GG 10 times over because they have to do so many things this turn. First of all, they have to they have to play through my Stifle. They have to Doomsday somehow. They're going to Doomsday down to such a low life total that they're definitely dead on board. Can they win from here? They might be able to. I could just put the counters on Psychic Frog. I think I just let them take the card because they're dead either way. Now they're going to see the Stifle. They're definitely going to take the Stifle. So their last cards, it doesn't matter. They've got 2 cards. They're dead. Brainstorm, it's not going to matter because they need the Doomsday and they need to draw through their pile. And that usually involves cycling a bunch of Street Wraiths. Yep. They're going to go out in style. Spoils of the Vault. Let's do it. What card are they going to name? Choose a card. All right. What do they name here? -37. They just did their entire deck. They domed themselves for 38 damage or something, 40 damage. Great games, as always. Adorno, and have a fantastic day. And I will see you all in round 4. I'm going to go eat lunch with my wife just to respect the marital balance. And then I'll be back. And you won't have to just sit here. My auto editor tool is going to edit that out. So I'll be right back, and you can watch and we can see if we can keep up the forward momentum. Just to recap, we lost to Reanimator in a very close match, in my opinion. We won an incredibly close, intense match against 12 post, and then we just beat Doomsday pretty handily. So yeah, I'm feeling good about the deck. It's just, can we beat Eldrazi? Can we reliably beat Blue-Black? Those are really the 2 open questions. We're back for round 4. We are against Caboosinator. We are on the play, miraculously. So this hand looks great. I have no idea what they're playing. All right, and they asked, are you the Be Excellent YouTube channel? Wow, Mom, look at me, I'm famous. All right, I'm going to keep this against an unknown opponent. I think what we do is we probably just lead Scalding Tarn and chill. All right. I mean, I could keep... I could just open Island. I think it's safe. Because they could have Stifle, and I want to Stifle them, not the other way around. So our goal with this deck is just to fill up the yard quickly and get a Murktide out quickly in case they're on like Eldrazi or something. Okay, they're seeing my island. Get a Tamio out. That's fine. So what I can do is I can potentially plow that. If they're doing Island Tamio, I'm thinking they're on a control deck, and Tamio is probably not going to be like super strong anyway. I think it's fine to just, I mean, like if they're on a blue deck, they probably do have a fetch land coming soon. So I can just do this with Daze Protection. All right, and we have lots of stuff up. Next turn we can ponder while keeping Stifle up. Stifle is kind of like you're wishing on porting yourself when you have a Stifle up. But this is why we do it. If they Daze this, I'll be crushed because I'll have, spent like 2 turns keeping that island up in hopes of stifling. And it looks like that's what they're doing here. I would like an emergency brainstorm, please, and not a Daze. All right, there's the Daze that we feared. Well, we got the Daze out of their hand. Not that it really matters, but that will be useful. I mean, Stifle is still going to go into the Murktide. Psychic Frog, no. All right, well, we'll see what happens here. I might have to bounce that out of play if I don't have anything better to do. We might get lucky and find a Plow. Okay, options. 1, we can brainstorm. That will probably find us a Plow. I think I'm going to ponder, and I'm going to see if I can find a Plow. I've already seen one of them. This is land number 2 to bounce Psychic Frog back to hand, and it does keep our game plan progressing. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and do that. They don't have the ability to Daze right now. I think I'm just going to go ahead and just do this now. Next turn, we will have Murktide into... And if they like do something to get this... Okay. I didn't want to have to force there. I'm not sure that it would be correct to force there. I think it would be because this can be a beater later. I suspect they're just going to untap and replay it. And I'm not going to worry because I'm going to Murk. The risk is that they could have like Daze. Let's see. What do we do here? If we force here, then we can just stick our Murktide, and they probably don't have an answer to it other than maybe borrowing it out of play. If they Daze, it's not a big deal. I have a giant Murktide in play, and my Murktide will be bigger because I forced. I think it's fine. I'm drawing cantrips. All right, we stopped the frog, but we did go like practically hellbent in the process. So we are going to be able to play our Murktide out around Daze, and I am not going to get greedy and try to ponder to make it an 8/8. That doesn't make sense to me. I think what we do here is we go ahead and we play this with Daze Protection. Blue. Okay, we've got a giant Murktide. I don't think we fire with the ponder now. I think we just... Do we fire with the ponder now? We might as well. I don't think they're going to Daze it in this current situation. Okay, Stifle's pretty bad, but we do have the Brainstorm and Tamio combo. So what I'm going to do is I think I'd be sadder if Tamio got taken out of my hand. So even if they bounce this, then I can Tamio and I can flip her with Brainstorm, and we can start ticking up that way. We also have Brazen Borrower here. Again, like an amazing card that continues to impress me. Entomb. Okay, so they are going to go for the combo. And this, sadly, if they just have Reanimate, we're just dead. Because they can Reanimate Archon and they can kill the Murktide. And then, yes, we can get Tamio and we can flip her. Ah, so frustrating. All right, well, we're going to go to game 2. I don't want to play this out. So now we know what they're on, and we're going to board like crazy. We're going to play very differently. They're opening. I probably should have picked up on the fact that they were rescam, but I was like, oh, they're a fan of the channel. They wouldn't be on that. All right. So I think we bring in this. We're definitely bringing in our surgicals, and I think that's it. And then cards that we take out. I've been taking out Spell Pierce. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe we can keep them low resource. Prismatic Ending doesn't hit anything but Frog, unfortunately. I don't think it's good. Also, they're going to likely try to waste me off white, which makes these kind of cards worse. And I think I'll just cut 2 forces. So we have our 4 anti-graveyard cards, and then we just have our game plan of Murktiding them. Yeah, maybe forcing the frog was a mistake when it was not going to be able to do anything once the Murktide was out. Yeah, I think I'm willing to accept that that was probably a misplay. But had they had Daze, and had we not had the 5th card in our graveyard, we wouldn't have been able to play the Murktide around Daze. This is a mulligan. This is a much better hand. Since we're low resource, I think we put back... I'll put back the Force. I'm almost certainly going to be able to stifle something here. Whether that's a Wasteland, whether that's a Troll Cycle. But this, I said earlier in the video yesterday when I was recording, I went to eat lunch with my wife, and then I just got so deep into work that I didn't finish. Yeah, that's fine. I said that I wanted to actively get paired against this deck. So I hope you don't think I'm like salty or anything. I'm just like, I want to be able to beat it. It's just an incredibly overpowered deck that I have to get good at beating. I think we just waste here and we pass. And yes, they're going to stack up some clues, but if things go well, they'll never actually be able to use any of those clues because we're going to mana screw them out of the game. They have 16 lands in their deck. All right. Well, they had another land. Is this a Troll Cycle? This is a Thoughtseize, even worse. Well, I'm going to... I think we attempt to brainstorm here. If they Daze, it's not the worst. But I don't want them to take my Surgical. Okay, so options. I think they're almost certainly going to take the Tamio. Here's what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to put back Surgical and Tamio. I don't think they're going to be able to go off next turn. So they'll draw the Tamio and I'll waste. They'll take one of these cards. Probably a Ponder. I definitely want to waste them next turn, though. Now they know I'm going to waste them. Okay, they took the Stifle. I should have probably hid the Stifle instead of hiding the Tamio. Because, yeah, if they have a third land, Wasteland's not going to be super great here. But they need to Entomb and Reanimate. They're not going to be able to do all that with 0 mana. Let's go ahead and do this now. Okay, now I'm going to play out my Tamio, and I'll pass. We know we're drawing Surgical, which is an answer to their most dangerous things they can do. And it's safely on top of our deck in case they have, Black Source into Thoughtseize again. The scariest thing they could actually do here is probably Wasteland us. Oh, no! No! I should have kept the freaking Stifle on top. Oh, I'm so dumb. Okay, and we know that we're not drawing a land here for at least a turn or two. So we totally did this to ourselves. We double wasted them and they just kept drawing. Now they may not have a mana source other than that Wasteland. That might have been their last land. I mean, they have 16 lands in their deck, right? But the fact that they took the Stifle and I just let them do that, that was very bad. Okay, so I'm just going to create a clue and I'll pass. And I do have Surgical up, but if they have a Daze in their hand and an Entomb, we're pretty in trouble. They'd have to have an Entomb and Reanimate, but yeah, we are drawing to more lands than they are, but they took our Stifle, which is bad because we could have stifled that Wasteland, been ahead. If they just drop a land, I'm going to be so tilted. Okay, no land. All right, so we're both building clues that we can't use. They have a lot of clues though. If this game goes on long, they are going to be able to draw all those cards. Do they have a land? Oh, thank goodness. All right. All right, we're just going to attack and we're going to pass. And this really comes down to who draws land first. I totally punted. I should have put the Stifle on top. I probably should have done Stifle and Surgical on top, and then I would draw the Stifle and I would have it ready to hit their Wasteland or whatever they were going to do, Troll Cycle, Fetch, anything like that. I could have hit that. My opponent observed that this is a funny game, but for me, this is very serious. I need to win this game in order to get a game 3. And they are vastly favored over me just by nature of playing the most broken deck. I don't think I have an option. They could be holding a Wasteland just trying to bait me. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and attack here, and I am going to Ponder. I'm going to try to set up a land or a Force. No! Yeah, you play 16 lands, and then you run into my deck, and my deck is, metagaming against you and playing Stifle. 2 Stifles. I will take any land, including a Wasteland. Actually, I don't think Wasteland's very good here. They're forcing that. Wow. Okay. Well, that's respect for a ponder. I'll just ponder next turn, but I have to not get wasted. They have 3 wastes in their deck. So they have 2 left. All right. Can we recover from our terrible decision to not hide the Stifle? Let's do this before attacking. It doesn't matter the sequence. Are they going to force again? Holy cow. That's so much value. Let's take a look at their... they put their own brainstorm out and their days. I'm happy to see both of those. But again, a Wasteland, and we're back in the Stone Age. I definitely could have plowed by now, but I don't think it's going to matter. I would prefer to look for land, and I'd rather save this plow for like some sort of crazy monster that gets loose. Okay, they found an island. Luckily, they don't have a brainstorm to flipper. They might have a brainstorm to flipper, but they didn't earlier. So my window for plowing is gone. Probably they're probably going to flipper here. They have a brainstorm. Okay, that is a great pickup. Okay, so options. I think the best option is just to go fetch an underground sea, and I'm going to start by thought seizing them. And then if the coast is clear, I can consider plowing. They may... Ooh. Well. I think Baragoyf is extremely aspirational at this point. I'm not going to worry about it. I am worried about Psychic Frog. I don't really have anything that can be pushed once I get my Tamio off the table. Even if she gets killed, it's not that big of a deal. She's done a good job. Yeah, I could have put Fatal Push. Now they have something that turns on their reanimates. I don't know. I think... Do I want to hold this? I think I'll wait and see what they do. And if they like brainstorm or something, then I can plow her with the brainstorm on the stack. Because these clues, like it makes no difference having her on the table. It will slow down me winning with Murktide by a turn. I would just feel really dumb if I plowed this and then they were able to reanimate their Psychic Frog or something like that. And so far, they've not cracked a single clue. We are going to be able to start cracking clues next turn. Even if they flipper, I do have Brazen Borrower, but I'd rather use that Brazen Borrower. Oh, yeah, they got a freaking land. They're cracking a clue. That's fine. All right. That Wasteland definitely gives me pause. If I'd taken the Baragoyf, I could have surgicaled it, but I don't think that's a good use of surgical. They are 1 turn away from sticking Baragoyf, which is a pain. I'm going to go ahead and attack, and then I'm going to brainstorm. Flipper, plusser. Hopefully find a land, like a Wasteland would be really good. Wasteland's the best draw on my deck, because I can waste their waste, and then they can't waste me, and they're farther away from casting Baragoyf. I've already used 1 Thoughtseize. I'm just going to go ahead and brainstorm like this. Okay, so their hand is Baragoyf, Fatal Push, 1 unknown. Grafdigger's Cage is great. Yeah, I think it's Grafdigger's Cage. What I'll do is I'll put away the Spell Pierce and the Plow, I think. Oh, I am worried that they're going to be able to Baragoyf. If they Baragoyf and I counter it, then I can surgical it before they can cast the second one if they do have a third land. Since I'm going to tap out for Grafdigger's Cage here, it makes sense to go ahead and put... Okay, the one card I don't want taken out of my hand is Swords. Yeah, and we're going to have to redraw through these anyway. So I'll just go like that. She flips. I'm going to plus her. I'm going to drop the cage. I can daze if they counter this. Okay, and now they are going to be able to hit one of our lands potentially. White is definitely the more valuable of the 2 lands, but they have no way of knowing that unless they've watched my most recent video where they saw me playing a very similar video, a very similar deck. I think I just had to let that go, sadly. That is like the land that they were going to use to crack clues and stuff. They do now have... They're 1 mana away from Baragoyfing, but again, Baragoyf can be dazed. Anything they do can be dazed here, as long as they don't waste me with the 3rd land. Wouldn't it be amazing if Tamio could regrow lands like Ren and 6? I think they learned from that, though. They learned their lesson. So I could minus this. I think it's smart to just keep it going up. So if I draw half my deck, I'm going to win. And that's only 2 turns away. And they're Barragoyf is not going to resolve anytime soon. Nothing is going to resolve between my Spell Pierce and my Tamio here. They are troll cycling, which does give them a third land. Yeah. And it gives them lots of reanimation targets if they somehow rip Miracle Dude, but they have to get Grafdigger's Cage off the table first. So this is definitely going to be a Daze Barragoyf turn. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. All right, so they have one Barragoyf, one Fatal Push, one Unknown. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to do here. No, I'm just going to let us pass. And now I'm drawing Plow. Look at all those delicious clues they have that they cannot eat. The forbidden clues. I mean, they can eat them, but it's like so much tempo. They have so many other things they could be doing with their turn. So I'm going to go ahead and draw this. I'm going to play this. I'm going to plus this. I'm going to, in their draw step, I'm going to set a stop here, and I will surgical. Wait, set a stop here, and I'll surgical once they untap. I will surgical. Wait. Okay, let me remove that stop on my draw, and let me put it on their draw. Okay. And then once we draw our entire deck, we should be insulated. I mean, we already have Grafdigger's Cage out. Okay. Did they draw a card already? Yeah. Now, going to hit Barragoyf. I'll pay my life. This combined with Tamio being at 8 may prompt a concession. Boom, boom, boom. Their hand is Animate Dead, Psychic Frog. So they can play a Psychic Frog, but I am most definitely going to draw a White Source that I can use to plow it. Let's take a look at their deck. They are doing very standard list here for reanimates. One more Thoughtseize. I don't see anything. They don't have the Miracle Dude, which, you know, I think the Miracle Dude might be more hype than anything. All right. So I think likely a frog here, but, you know, it's going to be too late. They are opting to draw instead. I'm not sure what they could possibly draw here. Wasteland does slow things down for sure if they decide to waste me. Cracking another clue. Yeah, I'm not sure what they're drawing to. Just flipping their own Tamio, I guess. All right. So I think first order of business is drawing a Wasteland and wasting their waste. Once we ultimate here. I don't believe there's a card in their deck that can stop this. All right. Okay, we have double, surgical. Is there anything in their hand that we know about? Oh, they have Psychic Frog in their hand. I am going to go ahead and hit that to shut off that avenue. 1, 2, 3. I definitely could have waited till their upkeep to do this, or till their draw step like I did previously, but I just want to strip their hand a little bit. And now I think the simplest thing to do, just play a frog that I can use, pitch everything to. I've got plenty of lands coming. They do have Fatal Push though. How many forces did I draw? 0. Okay, so I don't think Fatal Push is the correct answer here. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play this out, waste our Wasteland, so I don't have to worry about getting my land wasted. And I will just keep stuff up so I can pierce them. I have plenty of time to kill that Tamio. A single attack with a Murktide will kill it, and I don't think they're likely to be able to stop it. But without forces, I do want to keep up Spell Pierce. Okay. Right. They do have a lot of clues to draw stuff, but what are they drawing, you know? Bunch of stuff that doesn't work with Grafdigger's Cage around. So I'll just plus this. I'll go get a land. And I am going to Murktide here so that I have something to attack them. And I can prevent them from ultimating as well. I need to play quickly because this has been a really long game. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Blue, blue, blue. They have a Daze. Oh, they're just cracking clues. Yeah, if they stop is kind of a problem. I think they're going to crack the other clue too and just try to draw into a Daze. I can always bounce with Borrower. It's just, it takes a long time. Basically, I just have to get my lands out. Okay. If they draw a Force or if they draw a Daze here, we're sufficiently stymied. All right, they didn't. So I think the only thing that they have that can stop this is probably Brazen Borrower, and if they bounce it, I'll just recast it. All right. She's big. Clue. Precisely what I said would happen, which is like they're going to draw a ton of cards here. That's what's happening. They are able to convert those clues. I haven't had mana the entire game to be able to use mine. It may be worth just, getting like surgicaling here if we have a window in which to do so. Surgicaling their force. Okay, they scooped. All right, game 3. That was an exciting game. I don't think it would be nearly as exciting of a game if I just played correctly and hid my stifle. But that I'm not going to say that was like a really obvious punt, but it was clearly obvious. Like once I passed the turn, like, oh, okay, they can do this. So I do consider it to be a punt. I think we keep Dazes in. On the draw, we probably actually do want a few more forces. It was kind of embarrassing drawing half our deck and not finding any forces. Spell Pierce was pretty live a lot of that game. Maybe we trim a Daze, and they're not going to play around Spell Pierce, which is one of the reasons I like keeping it in, because nobody plays around it. Like it's a one of at most. I don't want to trim Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize is potentially good at breaking up their combo if I turn 1 it, but I would have to have extra lands in hand to turn 1 it, because that leaves us super vulnerable to Wasteland. Orcish Bowmaster still doesn't have anything to hit. I didn't see any Bowmasters in their deck. Maybe I trim 2 Dazes. Yep, let's do it. So this is going to be the harder of the games. We're down on time quite a bit, and we also have we're on the draw. We're unlikely to screw them. I don't like this hand. I want a surgical. This hand is also pretty bad. They started with 7. I don't like the 1 land. Obviously, this is a terrible hand. This does have us covered for the first few turns. If they are on like a turbo reanimation, like this is, I don't know, it's terrible. It's a terrible situation. I'm going to keep it. I'm not going to go to 4. Murktides out. Borrower is kind of the flex tape, so to speak. I think we put Brainstorm out. And the reason Brainstorm is Ponder is much more likely to be able to find us our second land, whereas Brainstorm, we risk Brainstorm luck. All right. If they just go for it, I mean, they're probably not going to just go for it when we don't make a land drop. They're going to wait for a Thoughtseize or something like that. I mean, for a 19 land deck, we sure are seeing not very many lands. My goodness. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I'm not going to proactively get that troll. I'm just going to assume that we're not going to be able to tempo them out this game, and that it's all going to be about like stopping them from doing a lot of crazy stuff. I am going to hit it now. And they may very well daze it. Okay, they didn't. That's good. So their hand is 3 cantrips and a reanimate. That's good to know. I think looking at that reanimate and those cantrips, maybe it was right to keep this no lander. Okay, so let's just take a look and see if their deck configuration changed at all. Still no Bowmasters. They've got 3 days in. They've got Barragoyf, which is probably actually the biggest threat to us this game is Barragoyf. Yep. I don't have high hopes of winning this, but I'm going to fight. Come on, land. A fetch, and I will get my island. So their hand, just to clarify, did not have a Wasteland in it. It has a Surveil land. Oh, that's great. All right, I'm going to ponder. They don't have a Daze in their hand. I just want to maximize looks for a second land. Okay, Cage is definitely good. Daze is also not the worst. So I think what we do here, I'll take the Wasteland now, since that can't get ripped out of our hand. The next turn we can cage around. Next turn we can cage around Daze, or if they waste us for some reason, we can at least get a cage in play. I forgot to look to see how many Brazen Borrowers they're playing, but I assume they're playing 2. Sadly, I'm going to have to force this. I think we pitch the Murktide is just farther away from being useful. We have 4 of them. We'll draw another one later. They kept. All right, so I think we're going to do another draw step surgical. And we're going to hit Psychic Frog. Because we know they have 4 and that would be like something they might keep. All right, let's wait till the draw step, and then we'll attempt to surgical the frog. And that might be over aggressive, but it's a very easy way for us to lose. Okay, they didn't have it. They ripped a Tamio, which is another way we can certainly lose, but we do have borrower. So let's just take a look. How many borrowers do they have? Looks like they have 0 borrowers. Okay, so really we just need to worry about flip Tamio and Barragoyf. This is a luck. That game piece is on the table for the duration. Okay. All right, Tamio's out. They can flip her immediately. We'll wait till the last minute to bounce her. Oh, interesting. They're going to attack and get a clue before they get her up. Okay, we draw Daze. I think we just pass here. Again, like because of the threat that she represents, like we do want to let them create a clue, and then we want them to brainstorm and flip her and get really close to where they think that she's going to be able to go the distance, and then we bounce it. I'm pretty sure they'll brainstorm here. Now, they could certainly find like a Daze or something. They do have, I believe, 3 Dazes in their deck. Interesting Thoughtseize. Well, sadly, I'm going to just have to play this out now. Bounce her. No, if I bounce her back to hand, they can just brainstorm in response. This doesn't work. Yeah, I'm going to have to let them take my borrower, which is almost certainly what they're going to take. So they played really smart here. Thoughtseize, a very powerful card against this deck. Especially when we mulligan to 0, or mulligan to like a no-lander. But like the Grafdigger's Cage does mean we're still kind of in this. Okay, so Tamio flips. There was nothing we could have done to stop that. I can't remember whether we're drawing wild or whether we're drawing... I think we might be drawing like a Spell Pierce or something. I can't remember. I don't think it's the Spell Pierce. So we have essentially 3 turns. Okay, and they waste. They'll probably waste in our upkeep. Oh, they didn't waste. Okay, well, yeah, they know to play around Daze, and we're just going to chill. And we're going to hope to find our Brazen Borrower, or we're going to hope to get a giant Murktide that can somehow close before Tamio can ultimate. But I'm already marking this up as a loss. Like, I don't think there's, like, we have, like, 1 card in 49 that deals with her. Actually, did we board out the Prismatic Ending? I think we did. There's the Barragoyf. They can just float. By hitting this, I forced them to float. Yeah, so that's fine. So now they can't waste me. I mean, I could have done that last turn. But now that they have the mana floating, yes, this is going to resolve. And yes, I am very screwed. Yeah, like I've got 2 must-kill threats on the table. Yeah, I'm not sure if I misplayed or if like that was just bad variance, like getting the hands that I did. I don't have a Surveillian. I do kind of think it makes sense to fetch the Thin because I'm like super dead on board. I'll get my Tundra here. And if I rip a Plow, we're kind of still in it. Yeah, we're done. Yeah, good games for sure. Well played on my opponent. I think that they did a good job using the clues. They did a good job like checking our hand before they attempted to cast the big thing. Before they attempted to flip her. I mean, like I felt like we just didn't really have an angle to stop a Tamio there. And I don't regret surgicaling the Psychic Frog. I think that was the right call, just because if they drew it at some point, we were like naked to it and we couldn't do anything to stop it. So I thought that was more likely than them having, the 3 of Barragoyf. But Barragoyf is also, an imminent threat. All right, we're up against one of my favorite content creators. Okay, so they're probably on some nonsense, but there's no point in looking them up. They play a different thing every week. This seems great. Yeah, I think we just Island Ponder here. Not knowing what they're on. I mean, they could be on literally anything. I think it makes sense to put back Murktide. That's definitely like a later game card. And I want to have all my cantrips about me just in case I'm having to dance through, some crazy Reanimator stuff or who knows what they're on. I think their pet deck is Dark Depths. This hand can deal with kind of everything. This is a Dark Depths start. Fortunately, I have lots of tools for dealing with dark depths. I think it's an island ponder. I don't want them to waste me. Maybe it's a tundra ponder, because we have lots of ways to find another land, and I do need to make sure that I have a tundra. It seems good. All right, I'm going to do it like this. I suspect that I may need the second wasteland if they're on dark depths. Prismatic Ending does get rid of Pithing Needle on Wasteland, which is a common line if they are on dark depths. There it is. Hexmage. Yep, that's going to happen. And they're just going to do it immediately, I think. They're not going to do it immediately. All right, well. Huh. So if I waste, then they are forced to sack, and then I can just Prismatic End rather than give them 20 life. I do kind of think that's better. They could just have a follow-up. If I just wait, they are going to be inclined to do it in step, but they may not be able to. And then what I can do is if they play a Pithing Needle, I can end the needle, and then I can waste them. There won't be a window in which they can attack me. They could have like Not of This World or something like that protects it. Yeah, I'm just not sure. If I seem indecisive, I'm sorry. I think I just play out the Wasteland. Now they can't really do it. They can still attack me. Yeah, I'm just going to wait and see what they do here. Because we always get kind of a turn cycle. But I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't have like some card that like instant speed protects it. Thespian Stage is another way that they can do it. So what I can do is I can just play the second Wasteland. And this life loss doesn't really matter. I can take quite a few hits from the Hexmage. We also have Stifle. I think I'm just going to play these out and I'm going to chill. And then when they try to make it, unless I'm missing something, I don't know. Is there something they could do here? I'm not worried about them killing me. Ghost Quarter. Right? The longer this game goes on and the more I'm able to just accumulate lands, the better position I'm in. I think I chill. Once this is off the table, I will Psychic Frog. Not a moment earlier. It is worth noting that Hexmage can hit Psychic Frog and then can sacrifice itself to strip the counters. Do I have enough cruft in my hand that I'm okay with another Hexmage? So they actually don't have enough mana to do anything with the Hexmage. If I just hit the depths now, they can sack and then I can just Stifle. They let it go. They don't sack the Hexmage. Interesting. So maybe they genuinely think the Hexmage is going to get there for them. That's my read. Or they just have another Dark Depths in hand. Oh, yeah. They could just have another Dark Depths in hand. That makes sense too. All right. What are we doing here? I want a Murktide. Prismatic Ending. Another one. It's not the worst, but we have to use a lot of resources to kill their creature. I think at this point, it does make sense to ponder. Looking for a land. We want to make our land drops every single turn in this matchup. Thoughtseize is not terrible. I'd prefer to have the land. We are taking 4 this turn. Our life total is getting lower. We can plow, but they can just sack. I'm going to take one more hit. And then next turn, I'm going to deploy the frog. I really want them to go in on Dark Depths somehow. I guess they don't need to. They can just chill. They're not even like ghost quartering me, which is really disconcerting. But the really powerful like green card that also works with Dark Depths is not on MTGO. So that's good news. I don't really want the Thoughtseize anymore. So I'm going to just go get my Underground Sea here. All right. So we're going to go black, blue, frog. Then we're going to pass. Cards that will likely get pitched to Psychic Frog. So what's going to be more devastating? Hitting the depths, which they're definitely going to target, or just hitting the Urborg, which shuts off a lot of their mana sources. They have a lot of Stifle effects here. I think I'm likely going to have to plow the actual depths. Or we could just go get a land. I think it's worth to cut off that. And maybe they make it. Yeah, they're sacrificing that land. They don't have access to green mana, so they can't do the trick with, what's her name? I'm trying to think of what this 2 black mana could be used for. I think we pass into their upkeep and then we plow. Just to let this mana get out. But this is a very skilled Dark Depths player for sure. And I'm not super experienced at playing against the deck. If necessary, I can block. Okay, how did they get the green mana? Oh, they exiled that. Crop rotation. Okay, so I'm going to have to jump the frog in front of this, sadly. And they're going to go get Sajiri Step, probably. Yeah, it sucks. This whole game, even though I had tons of mana. Yeah, so I'll jump the frog, and I'll just block it. And then I'll end it. This is terrible, by the way. This is a terrible situation to be in. I can end both this and the Hex Mage and leave them with nothing on the table. But it's pretty bad feels. Okay, let's exile 3 cards. We'll just exile 3 lands. Okay, we'll go to block here. All right. Also, he said howdy. I'm in Texas and he's in the UK or something. I just think it's so awesome and ironic that he's wishing me howdy. Okay, so Borrower's not going to get much better, but I don't want to take a hit from that. I'm just going to exile it with this. And then if they do something like Crop Rot again, it's not the end of the world. I can Borrower it. Okay, and now I'm just going to go ahead and also get rid of this because I don't want to take any more damage. All right, and if they can somehow kill me with 4 cards and 1 land that's totally off color in play, then I'll be very impressed. But I do need to assemble a winning coalition of cards pretty quickly. I guess the fact that they have 20 life is a blessing. All right, I'm going to go ahead and try to find another Psychic Frog or a Murktide. Okay, Murktide's great. I think I want all these. I don't need that. I can put that away and just get it. Spellpierce is really good here. I mean, weirdly, the least important thing is probably the Ponder. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'll leave it on top, and then I'm just gonna go blue, Murktide. We're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll make it a big Murktide, and we'll keep Plow just because it's the most flexible card if we get a situation where we're going to return it. Having Stifle up, having Spellpierce up definitely gives me hope, though. Yeah, they don't have anything. Yeah, I think we played very carefully and we successfully navigated this. I'm not going to pat myself on the back too much because the game's not over, but I feel pretty strongly that we're doing well here. I think the simple thing to do here is just Spellpierce this. It buys us a turn. Okay, red. What the heck is this double red for? What were they doing? Oh, they paid for it. I was like, why are they exiling red? Wow, that's great. I didn't even know they were playing. Okay, they did find a Dark Depths. They're going to be very sad that I have this Brazen Borrower here after they, spend a few turns lining this up. But I feel super safe. So we'll just play it out. 16 minutes on the clock. We got plenty of time. These games aren't usually this long. Usually they just kill you. Okay, there's the Dark Depths, but they don't have the copy effect. So we just have to hit him twice. If we had to Plow for some reason, then we have to hit him 6 times. There's green, Crop Rot. That is fine. Just by virtue of having 2 different removal spells, I feel pretty safe here. So if they want to go ahead and create the thing, I'm going to borrow it, and then as an absolute emergency, I can Plow it. This is their last card. Hex Mage. Yeah, unfortunately, Hex Mage also kind of makes it a pain for me to attack in. But I'm going to do it. Delta, not super useful. I think do I keep that in hand? I'm just going to attack, and if they Hex Mage, I'll just Stifle it. That's more clean, and then I can keep the Borrower up. Sorry, I'm sick. My kids tracked something home. That's fine. I'll just stifle that. And they're dead. I'm pretty sure they're not coming back from that. Oh, well, they're going to play it out anyway. See what they draw. It makes sense to go ahead and draw. But I can't imagine what they could draw here. Obviously, they don't know that I have double removal in my hand. It's a squirrely deck. All right, let's go to game 2. I mean, Bowmaster's ability to ping those is not nothing. Harbinger is pretty good here because is it pretty good if they remove it? If they remove Harbinger, suddenly they get freebies. Yeah, I don't think we want this actually. Yeah, I don't think we board in anything. Consign can counter the triggered ability, but it just goes back on the stack. In case you're wondering why we don't bring those in, I don't think we make any changes here. Dazes is not like the greatest on the draw against them. If we get rid of one Dark Depths, I don't think they can win other than just with beating us. But I think I don't like those kinds of cheese strategies. That's not how I roll. Lavinia, do they have any free spells? I didn't see Out of This World or anything like that. I think we probably just leave in the Dazes. I mean, they're going to be low resource. All right, so I'm going to go get some water, and then I'll submit, and then we'll go to game 2. It occurs to me I don't even actually need to submit. I didn't make any sideboard changes, but I'm not going to make Cyrus wait. By the way, I'm probably going to like tone down my voice a little bit, so this is going to sound like more one of those ASMR, Dukes on Twitch type videos for the rest of the video. It's a double Wasteland hand with a Daze. I mean, one of the ways we lose is they just... Yeah, I'm going to keep a double Wasteland hand. If they Pithing Needle Wasteland, I'll be so sad. I've got literally nothing going on over here if that happens. All right. You can't like proactively waste them because they do have cards like Crop Rotation in their deck. Yawgmoth. And you generally don't want to waste anything other than the actual Dark Depths when they're about to combo off. Do I want to go ahead and play this out as a second? Yeah, I'm going to do that. And if they, Pithing Needle, I'll just waste both their lands. And that's, that's pretty strong. I can tap this for black now. It's worth noting. Minsk and Boo. Ouchie. Yeah, I can't actually do anything about this, Juke. I didn't expect it. I could play out a Psychic Frog, which can get really big. Yeah, this is not good. I am definitely in danger here. Did not expect Minsk and Boo out of the black deck. All right, that does give me some angle. I think we go ahead and play this out just because No, they're probably not playing Wasteland. I'll play this. Black, blue. Or wait. Blue, black. Now what we can do is we can pitch the rest of our hand if we need to. They make it a 7. We can actually block it. And then we can attack and kill Minsk himself and then just deal with the 7/7. That is pretty dangerous though. Actually, I don't think that's... Well, we wouldn't have a second... Okay, yeah, they're pumping it up. There's the depths. They have the combo. They're just hitting us on all these different angles. So I think what we do here... Okay, options. I mean, they could have Spirit Guides. I feel like we need to stop this. If they have a Spirit Guide, we're screwed. But we're... Okay, let's think about this. So, next turn, this turn, they're going to attack us for 7. We can't block. We can attack in with Frog. And Frog will be big enough to win combat, but keep in mind Vampire Hexmage can just strip the counters right off of this. I think we have to counter this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to counter this, and then we're going to probably waste the Dark Depths after combat. Then we can pitch all our cards to kill Minsk. We need to pitch 4 cards. Okay, yeah, I think this can work. I'm going to take 7 here. Depends on what they do. Okay, we're at 8. That's precarious. There's no reason to waste now. I'll wait. I'm going to see what I draw. Okay. So that does grow the Murktide. So I think We have to kill Minsk now. We also have to play a land if we're going to be able to cast Murktide. We hit that. We attack Minsk. We're going to draw a card. Okay, so hear me out. If the top card is a land, then we're okay. And we've killed Minsk and Boo, and we can resolve our Murktide. The other option is we pitch everything but the Ponder. Then we can ponder for a potential... I don't like it. All I know is we can't fetch, we can't force, we can't do anything. We're going to be very dead. And we do need a big creature to stop this. If we pitch our hand, this will only be a 5/6, and they'll be able to hit us, and then we'll have to pump it up. I don't know. This is really tough. But one option is just to see what we get off Ponder. We're going to need to put it in our graveyard anyway. We're not going to have the luxury of casting Murktide Regent. This will replace itself, and we'll know what we're going to draw. Actually, this works because we can attack, and then next turn we'll draw the Plow, which we can use, but we don't have the ability to fetch for a white. How big will Murktide be? It'll just be a 5/5. We could just hold back with our frog. I mean, we're like that's a super passive play. Here's what I think we do. We go and we draw the Misty Rainforest. Then we pitch our hand. Wait a second. Am I miscalculating this? We could draw the Murktide and then we could cast it next turn. Okay, so if we go like this. So I'm thinking we put Misty on the bottom. I would love to pitch Misty. No, we're never going to be able to use the Plow. If we pitch the Plow, then next turn we Murktide. It's going to be a 6/6, which is still not big enough to stop this, and this has trample. I think what we need to do is, I mean, again, I would love to just play out the island. Oh, well, we are going to draw a card, so we could play out the island, and the next turn we'd have Murktide. And then we would have a lot of pressure on the table. Yeah, I think I like that. So, yeah, so we're going to have 5 cards. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking, I don't want to screw this up. Okay, so I'm going to pitch the Misty. We're never going to be able to use it. I'll keep the Plow on top just as something I can eventually use. No, actually, I can just pitch. I can put the Murktide on the bottom. Then I can draw this. Okay, and now what I can do, I can play this out. I can attack Minsk. This might not even matter. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and discard. Okay, it's a 4/5. We need one more. So we're discarding all these. So we definitely have Murktide next turn. Oh, they have something here. They're going to crop rotation. Yep, well, that doesn't matter then because they're going to have Minsk and Boo and they can just kill us. So I'm going to concede. Unfortunately, there's just nothing I can do to stop crop rotation. And I don't want to use any more clock. Okay, so they're like way ahead of us on clock because I had to think really hard about that. Okay, so let's go to game 3. Now that they're playing that, does that change anything? I mean, Lavinia does stop them from being able to do... like, it does make their spirit guides worse. I'm not sure if that's a good enough reason to bring her in. It does make me want to bring in Bowmaster just because Bowmaster does hit the Boo and it does lots of things. But what would I take out? I might take out Spell Pierce. No, I feel like Spell Pierce is pretty good here. I could take out Tamiyos. Tamiyos just doesn't seem like a particularly impactful card in the matchup. They can just kill her with, yeah, maybe we take out all our Tamiyos and then we also bring in Lavinia. And yeah, I guess we leave a Tamiyo in. I don't have anything better to replace her with. I'm not going to use Harbinger of the Sea. I think it's too big of a liability. Let's see. Well, maybe I'll bring a Harbinger in because I do think it's better than Lavinia. Lavinia is just terrible because you flip her and then they can just sack and kill her, no matter how much loyalty she has on her. Vampire Hexmage is a great anti-Planeswalker tool. Right. This is a keep. I think we open Thoughtseize, and we have Stifle, which is a good card against them. And we're just going to hope to collapse whatever their... They are an AB combo. They only have so many Dark Depths and so many ways to find it. Okay, so this is like a turn 3. So they get Hex Mage out and we can just stifle it, but that would also require us keeping our mana up constantly. I think they're probably going to just name Wasteland. I'd rather have to deal with the Vampire Hex Mage probably than with the Pithing Needle. No, I don't have a Wasteland in hand. I might not even draw it. I'm just going to do the safe thing. This slows them down considerably. So their hand at this point is 2 stages. One, they're definitely going to play out the Pithing Needle here, I would imagine. And I just need to find a Brazen Borrower or, if I find a Brazen Borrower, I'm not going to point it at that. All my Wastelands tap for black anyway, so it's not the worst. That's an unfortunate draw. I think I need to figure out a way to brainstorm that back. Okay, I think I'm going to play proactively here. I don't think there's a way that they can just win next turn. I could be dead wrong. They could just rip the thing and kill us. But we're drawing to a lot of stuff. We have Ponder to find Plow. Okay. Psychic Frog is going to help us potentially draw into better cards. So I'm going to start with Psychic Frog. That'll get us deeper. And then we have potentially double Ponder. Borrower's great. I'm going to go ahead and go off of the safety of having Borrower up to try to find a land. I mean, Plow is pretty good. Wasteland is a land for turn. I should have stacked that in a different sequence. I'll pass with Borrower up. All right, I'm just going to attack. I think they're probably going to make it. We draw our Plow. That's very good for us. I think we pass with both Borrower and Plow up. And we have Stifle up. But I'd probably pitch Stifle the Force here. At some point they are going to be incentivized to just go for it. Okay, they have double stage now. But they need a lot of mana to be able to, use stage twice in one turn. Okay, Brainstorm. I think we just attack here. We are going to probably have to Ponder to find a land here just so we can keep up forward momentum. We don't want to go to discard. Yeah, I'm going to attempt to Ponder to find a land. We found it. Daze is not the worst. It's not super important here. I'd rather just have the land. So it's good to know that it's on top of my deck. And also land number 5 is on top of my deck. Oh no. Oh no. Do something in step so I can discard a card. Okay, good. All right, so I think it's correct to keep this around. We have plenty of cards to pitch. Let's do some quick calculations. So we can pitch the Thoughtseize for sure. We can pitch the Stifle. We can pitch a Brainstorm and a Brainstorm. That'll get it big enough. Thoughtseize. Stifle. Brainstorm. Brainstorm. Now Murktide is going to be huge. We still have Force up if they do something weird. Yeah, I feel like we're in a pretty good place. I was going to have to discard anyway, so yeah, I'm happy about that. Boshenroll really recently had a video where he says that if you can discard, okay, so he's got 5 lands, so he's almost to double Thespian Stage land. That's fine. Okay. So he's thinking he has something he can do here. Well, I am going to attempt to force that, which is a shame because I would like to resolve my Murktide, but I think it's important. I don't need the Murktide to win. Wow. That was crazy. That was all in. My goodness. All right. I think at this point, Daze might be worth keeping around. No, I'm going to fetch and get some action. Thud. What a scary card. If they find another Dark Depths, we're pretty cooked. All right. Prismatic Ending. Actually, is pretty good. Now we have Wasteland up too. We'll attack. I guess the question is, do we want to go ahead and waste their... If we waste their Urborg, that does restrict their mana a bit, doesn't it? Yep, they didn't have Crop Rot, which is great. So they still have green mana, potentially. Maybe we should have gone after this instead. Another Needle. That's fine. what a match to end the tournament on. All right, there's the Dark Depths. It's going to attack. I've got lots of different things I can do here. Just take my 5 life, draw. I will play a land for turn. Yeah, I'll pass. So we have double Plow and Brazen Borrower up. I'm pretty sure we're not going to die to this. I'm just worried that we may not have time to attack a whole bunch of times if they make it and we have to plow it. Let's draw a card. Force is definitely a good card to draw. I'll just pitch a Plow here once we get past blocker step. That's fine. You've got a giant creature. I'm going to attempt to bounce it. All right, we did it. Yeah, and I'm gonna, if he sticks around, I'll apologize that I'm taking so much time to think, but like I'm just not very experienced with this matchup. Yeah. All right, so we did have a positive record there. We lost twice to Reanimator. We beat everything else. We beat Doomsday. We beat, of course, Depths. Yeah, if he reads that, he'll see that. Okay, so post game, let's talk about what the deck did. So I love this deck. I think this is better than Blue-Black Tempo, and my reasoning is Plow is insane. Like, Fatal Push does not do anything, obviously, against Dark Depths, but it also, like, I think in the Reanimator matchup, like, Reanimator is just so good that you really do need the ability to plow stuff. This is the new version. Let me show you. So this is the version I'm going to do in the next video, but this is the version that I'm doing right now. No, this is the old version. Okay, so I'll show you the evolution. So first, we were doing this version, which had lots of Thoughtseize, lots of prismatic endings, perhaps way too many. And it was very similar to what we have here. 3 consigns, 3 hydroblasts, or 2 hydroblasts, Containment Priest, which I established is not nearly as potent as just Grafdigger's Cage, just because 2 mana is so much more than 1 mana. And we were getting our Containment Priest dazed. But if you look here, we had 3 PEs, which would have been really good in the matchup that we were just in, but often it's just dead if you're up against stack-based combo and stuff. I think that this... Excuse me. I'm doing my best to talk here. I think this gave way to this, which is what we played today, which is like double Thoughtseize, double Prismatic Ending. It's still using some black here, using some white. Main things we need, though, are Plow and Frog. Those are by far the most important reasons you splash and leave the comfort of a pure blue mana base. So this is what I'm planning to play in the next video, which is still, 4 waste, 4 days. I never felt like Dazes were terrible to draw there. Like we always, because we're playing cards like Stifle, and I feel like it's always pretty low resource. However, even with my Plows and everything, I've still been getting destroyed by Blue-Black Reanimator. Like I think out of the last 2 videos, I've lost 5 matches. Is that right? Yeah, I've lost 5 out of the last 10 matches, and I think 4 of those 5 were to Reanimator, and I think 1 was just me losing to Eldrazi. But Reanimator is everywhere. It's going to be everywhere at Eternal Weekend. So let's talk about this list. So I went down to 2 Tundras, 2 Swamps, 2 Underground Seas, and I basically just dramatically reduced the number of white cards. So there's just 5 white cards. There's just, this is technically the black card, but really there's just 4 frogs, and then now Spellbomb uses black to cycle. And then I reduced the number of duels. So there's only 2 black sources in the entire deck, 2 white. And the reason is I wanted to go up to 9 fetches, so we always have a shuffle, and we can always go get whatever we need. And I wanted to go up to 2 islands. The reason I wanted to go up to 2 islands is there are lots of matchups where you just need a second basic, and you want to be able to, crack your clues, and you want to be able to potentially, cast Murktide or cast your Brazen Borrower from exile, and you want to do that off of basics. So my thinking is, okay, what if we just go down to 9 fetches, 6 fetchables, 4 wastelands, still 19. This preserves the number of blue sources, but this does also give us the luxury of a second basic. And then we just make the deck more blue. So Dismember is kind of a blue card in the sense that we can cast it off of any land. And it does deal with trolls. Trolls a big part of the meta right now. It also deals with the reanimation guy, Metamorphosis Fanatic. And then it also hits, Frog unless they have a ton of cards in their hand. I mean, it's one of the reasons this card is weaker right now is because of Frog. But I don't think 4 Plows is enough for a removal suite. So I did include a single Prismatic Ending as well here. So we'll do this in the next video, which will hopefully be tomorrow, but it may not be because I'm pretty sick. I don't want to subject you to like hearing me cough a whole bunch. Let's talk about the creatures though. It's the exact same creature suite. All we've done is we've cut a Prismatic Ending. We cut the Thoughtseize completely, which Thoughtseize is a great card, but it does force you to go get black, and you often just want to start basics. You don't want to necessarily fetch an Underground Sea turn 1, and that's the problem with Thoughtseize in largely non-black decks. So our deck is barely black at all. So barely black at all, barely white at all. It's just like basically a blue deck. And all of our threats are blue, and we can cast everything off these 2 islands except for the Plows, the Prismatic Ending, and the Frogs. And I think that doing this way, we draw a Plow. Okay, well, let's go get our Tundra, Oh, we draw our Frog. Okay, well, let's go get our Underground Sea. Other than that, we can just go fetch the basic, and we can almost always start with basic and move from there. Sideboard-wise, I reduced the number of colored cards. I took out Lavinia. She's just not coming in. She's just not as good as she used to be. I think she's probably really good against like Karnforge, but you know what's better against Karnforge? This colorless spell, Null Rod. And I just didn't want to have to go fetch white. Now, Bowmasters is so good in certain matchups that I do think you want to be able to splash for it. And Prismatic Ending is really good in some matchups where you want to have another one you can bring in from the board. But I just upped the Hydroblast because I do think that the Painter matchup is pretty tough for us since we're so blue. Hydroblast gives us game there. So we're still like, those are the only real changes. I went down to 2 Surgicals since I'm playing Grafdigger's Cage and I'm playing 2 Spell Bombs. So if you count, that's 5 graveyard cards. 5 cards to hate out graveyard decks. And I think that is super reasonable right now with how powerful Reanimator is and how much damage. Now, you saw in that round 4, even though I had the Grafdigger's Cage, they were still able to kill me. But a large part of that was me killing myself by just not having mana. I kept a no-lander, and I did eventually draw mana, but it was like way too late. So, yes, that was just like bad variance. With a 19-card deck here, I'll do the hypergeometric math, but I think you're supposed to have at least 2 lands like 80% of the time. All right, so you're likely to draw at least one of them. You're likely to have a land in your hand in basically 19 out of 20 hands. Now, if you want to have 2 lands, then you're doing 72%. So, yeah, it's a little touch and go, which lends credence to the notion of playing on basics. Because often you are going to have a Ponder or a Brainstorm, and you're going to have a land, and you're like, this hand is otherwise totally keepable. Or you're just going to have a Tamio and an island, and you're like, cool, I'll just Tamio and I'll chill for my next land to come up. But those are going to occur. The other thing to note is why not play a basic Plains, or why not play a basic Swamp? People ask me about this all the time. Why does Be Excellent not play basic Plains or basic Swamp? You need to have a critical mass of blue sources in your deck. So we're currently playing 15 blue sources. Turn 1 blue source, not ETB tap lands. And that's another reason people often ask me, why don't you play Mystic Sanctuary? Just put some Surveil lands. What can happen, But, you get your Surveil land and you've got a Ponder in your hand, but your Surveil land is the only land, and you play it out and then they waste it and you never get to cast your Ponder. And it also kind of time locked you there. So there are lots of situations. Like, I'm all about reducing variance. That's why I play blue. And I'm all about making sure that like a big chunk of my hands are going to be okay. So what percent chance are you going to have a blue source if you have 15, 88%? So I would throw back basically any hand aside from like that desperation move where I was at 15 or I had mulled twice already and I was on 5 cards. And then I got a no-lander that happened to have double surgical and a force. Like, those are the extreme situations where I would keep that. I would almost never keep that. And you could argue that I shouldn't have kept that and I should have just gone to 4. But you're going to find yourself in those situations where you have to go deeper a lot more frequently if you're playing cards like Swamp and plains. It's as simple as that. I would love to play those. I think basic lands are a luxury. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, you're playing a greedy mana base with all those duels. No, a greedy mana base is a mana base that has a whole bunch of basics in it. Because you're foregoing lots of opportunity, especially like you're playing a blue deck, like pretty much every land other than Wasteland needs to tap for blue, right? If you look at my Esper Vial deck, I'll show you the extent to which I follow this. Let's take a look at my Esper Vial. Do I have Esper Vial here? So this is my Esper Vial mana base. 29 lands in an 80 card deck. By the way, that's roughly comparable to what you get with 19. It's actually slightly better than 19 in a 60 card deck. It's probably closer to like 20 or 21 in terms of the probability. But you see here that I am able to play an island, a single island. Oh wait, I play double island, and then I play a swamp and a plains. And I also play 3 Karakas. Do I play 3 Karakas? Yeah. But the reason I can do that is because I have a ton of blue sources that I'm going to draw, and these are just kind of like nice incidental things that I can potentially find, right? Like you note that I'm playing 3 Wastelands instead of 4 Wastelands because as a nod to the need to have a lot of blue. And I could definitely go down to 2 Karakases, and that's something I might do in future iterations of this deck. But my point is, if you don't mind me lecturing a little bit longer, having a ton of fetches, in this case, like 15 fetches, or 13. So yeah, we're playing 4 Marsh Flats, we're playing 4 Deltas, and we're playing 4 Flood Strands, and then 1 Scalding Tarn. So 15. Or no, wait, that's 13. 13 fetches, right? Like, I think it's really important to be able to fetch to break your brainstorm. I think it's really important to be able to fetch. Fetches are the most powerful card in Legacy, period. Like, if fetches were removed from Legacy, Legacy would be like Pioneer. Like, it would be like Pioneer with Wasteland and Force of Will, basically. The fetches make all the difference, and they're one of the most high-skilled cards. And knowing how to construct a mana base where you have enough fetches in your side in your deck is very important. Now, if you have like the Orc, like the blue-black decks, you can get away with playing like 4 or 5 fetches instead of 8 or 9. But if you have the option of playing 9 fetches, you absolutely should, in my opinion, especially if you have a lot of dual lands, because a lot of people are going to waste you off of your land, and you need to be able to, fetch. So you need to be able to get your blue under you. Blue is by far the most color in any blue cantrip deck, because without blue, you simply are beholden to the top of your deck, and you never want to find yourself in that situation. That's a problem for stompy players. Right. Painter at least has like, what's it called, to do some card selection. I guess technically Eldrazi has Devourer of Destiny, and they have, they may play like the Once Upon a Time to select, but like reducing variance is the name of the game. Like if you go to a tournament, you are going to get mana screwed a lot. You're going to get mana flooded a lot. That just happens. That's just a function of variance. And the way that you counter variance in Legacy is very simple. Brainstorm, ponder, and fetches to help you shuffle away bad cards so you can kind of manipulate your fate a little bit, to reference a really cool Magic card. Okay, so that's it. That's all I wanted to say. But I'm very excited to try this even more blue Murktide deck in the next video. And until next time, be excellent to each other and party on.